It's Dan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Notoriety Sports Network. Breaking news, live shows, unprecedented content. Notoriety Sports Network, built different.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on I Love St. Pete, and of course, a part of the Notoriety Sports Network. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off the Sports Web? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have our Tampa Bay Lightning insider, Mr. Travis Faley, of Rocket Sports and Entertainment Around the NFL correspondent, on with us talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning losing 6-5 in overtime. How do you feel today? You look at it, the Bolts coming in after the third period with the lead, 5-3. You feel good about it. 5 goals in the second period, and they lose. So now they're 28-0-1. But it's not over. You got a game tomorrow at 12:30, an early edition of the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Panthers. Have you enjoyed this series? So we'll hear from Mr. Faley himself talking about the Lightning. And again, whatever you guys want to talk about. Then at 9:30, we'll have the Power Man himself.
Yeah, baby.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
Mr. Jason Powers. Again, I got to get this right. The Powers on Sports podcast. He'll be on with us. We'll be talking about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lots of news this week with Antonio Brown and Bruce Arians making comments. An exclusive sound from the Are You Serious Sports Network. Blake Ruffino interviewing Warren Sapp. Right here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Right here, a part of I Love St. Pete. Right here, a part of Notoriety Sports Network, the 25,000 following, which, by the way, just added the Tony Casillas show. That's right. That's Tony Casillas, the former defensive lineman of the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll have Jason Powers on. We'll have that exclusive audio. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to branch out a little bit because I'm a part of this family now. I'm definitely going to be a part of the family. We're going to have Nick Alvarez, the Houston sector, if you will, of the Notoriety Sports Network, talking about the Texans and also getting some wrestling in there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm telling you right now, we got a packed edition. And of course, always your phone calls, because this is an interactive experience. I can sit here and talk to my guest all night long, but if I don't have the web heads, if I don't have you fans joining this edition, then, you know, it's just kind of moot at this point. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get them on. Let's go out to Rocket Sports and Entertainment my Tampa Bay Lightning insider, Mr. Travis Faley. Welcome to the Evolution. And we started it out here with the Tampa Bay Lightning losing in Game 3. They had an opportunity to take a commanding 3-0 lead, but it was not to be. Welcome to the Evolution on the Notoriety Sports Network.
Well, love being on the show, Pete. Thank you very much. And you threw out a stat a little bit ago with the 28-1. That stat is after 2 periods, and that includes 2 games in this playoff series already. Prior to the playoffs starting, obviously, do the math, it was 26-0 leading after 2. And, sometimes guys and girls and everybody that's watching this Lightning series, if you watch that third period, the last 10 minutes of it, a couple things really seemed that the Lightning were playing not to lose instead of playing to win. Dumping the puck, and dumping the puck is all well and good if you're chasing after it. You've got the forecheck going on, but all they seemed like they wanted to do was dump it out of the zone and then change lines. And what happens? That comes back to bite them. You know what they say, bite them in the butt, whatever you want, however you want to say it. But now the Lightning, they go into overtime after getting a late power play. They couldn't capitalize on it. They get into the overtime period with about a minute and change left on that power play. Couldn't do anything. And what happens? The Panthers put the puck in the net past Vasilevsky for a 6th time, and we got ourselves a series at 2-1. Which, if the Lightning would have won last night, obviously 3-0, and you can pretty much put the Panthers back in the pen.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think, we kind of talked about it, right? It's all about, playing to lose. That's what the Lightning, even our own friend Sean, the Sports Don, texted me last night and said the Lightning played to lose that game. And then on top of it, to combine with it, the turnovers are crazy. When you turn over the puck, you give that other team the opportunity, and the Panthers are so fast offensively. It seemed like they were just hanging out, camping in the zone, the Lightning zone, all night long.
And they didn't even have their best player, Barkov, play very well last night. So, big thing, they pulled Drieger out of the game after getting shelled with the 5 goals. If you look at the first period, the Lightning didn't play very well. And in the third period, Palat takes a retaliation penalty with the Lightning Lightning winning 5-3. Takes that retaliation, which, I understood that penalty a little bit. I mean, it's a little touchy because, one of the Lightning players did get cross-checked right in front of Palat, dirty hit. So Palat, goes out and does the retaliation once again for the 3rd time in this statement, gets that penalty, and then the Panthers put it in the net to go down 5-4 and had all the momentum in the 3rd period.
Yeah, all the momentum. It was disappointing. I think Vasilevsky wasn't necessarily his best, but once again, the defense didn't help him out. I think the story also has not only been the speed of the Panthers, but the former Lightning players going to the stinking Panthers, those rat-you-know-whats. Radko Gudas and, of course, Verhaeghe, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, really making
We'll let that one go, okay? We'll let that one go, Pete. I know you struggle with the English.
Verhaeghe really having a series right now. And that's, the reason why the Lightning are able to let him go. They have so much quality depth, but to me, that's been also the story in this series, right?
Well, you look at Marchessault with the Vegas Knights. He's arguably a top 3 player on that club that the Lightning had to let go because of the talent depth that they have, Then you look at the team last night, you got Cirelli pinching in with a goal. You had Killorn getting a goal for this Lightning club, helping out. But, you had your top liners really struggle last night. You had Kucherov with 0 shots. You had Palat with 0 shots. How does Kucherov have 0 shots in a game when he's so deadly from the, he's passing the puck too much, in my opinion. Get the guy the puck. He's waving for it. He's asking for it. When you get the puck, Cooch, just shoot the damn puck. You're arguably the best shot. You, Stamkos, and Braden Point, who, in my opinion, is the best goal scorer from in front of the net that I've seen in the National Hockey League in a long time. Get these guys the puck. Another thing, last night, Sergachev -2 plus-minus rating. You bring in David Savard from Columbus at the trade deadline. He's -2. I still think, it's funny listening to Barry, our friend Barry, saying that, on a rant here, that Stamkos is 100%. That's not true. Hedman's not true. Hedman's not 100%, and you're seeing it. Even though Hedman had 3 assists last night, he's still struggling mightily. Giving up the puck, turning over the puck, not catching his guy in the front of the net, and it's costing the Lightning goals. And last night, in my opinion, it cost them the win.
It really did. We're on with our Lightning Insider, Tampa Bay Lightning Insider, Mr. Travis Falia, Rocket Sports and Entertainment, and of course, around the NFL correspondent on the Sports Web Live here on I Love St. Pete, and of course, the Notoriety Sports Network. Going back to game one, we talked about it, the advantage of the Lightning, getting back a Kucherov, 2 goals. You also have Stammer chipping in. Look, they're both, not necessarily 100%, but they absolutely give the Lightning that advantage. I mean, 2 superstars, especially on that power play, right?
Absolutely. And then you have Braden Point, if you listen to the game, which the announcers have been. And Kenny Albert's been great, but Brian Boucher has been horrible. The guys who did the first game, absolutely horrible. Last night, Boucher goes, yeah, this is a must win for the Lightning, up 2-0. What are you talking about, Brian Boucher? And then Kenny Albert has to correct him. Come on, guys, you're better than that from a broadcast standpoint. But you look at some of the other stats in the game. 47 shots for the Panthers last night. You can't have that. You got to have your D-men selling out like they had, and that's the way the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, by selling out and blocking shots and getting things a lot more cleaner to Vasilevsky instead of blocking him out and screening him. That's how Vasilevsky gets beat. Did he get beat on a couple bad goals last night? Questionable. Was he 100? Did he play an Andre Vasilevsky type game last night? But you got to give him some every once in a while. You got to give him a tough game. And last night was a tough game, not only for Vasilevsky, but as a whole for the team. John Cooper's going to make adjustments, guys. I think you're going to see a lot more of the game 2 setup where they're going to slow the Panthers down and try to get into more of a grinding game like they did at times against Dallas last year when they won the Stanley Cup, and you're going to see that shot total go down for the Florida Panthers tomorrow.
Yeah, and a lot of people saying, the Lightning right now are playing like they did in the Columbus series. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Look, they had some defensive breakdowns. Of course, we talked about the turnovers. It doesn't look good with Ryan Lomberg, who, in this series, it seems like he's in every scrum. He's that tough, gritty player. For him to score that goal last night, it's disappointing for Lightning fans, but really not that surprising. Talk about his play. And overall, I think you have to also talk about the referees in that first game. A lot of 4-on-4s. I think they've called it down the middle. I like that because, look, the Lightning definitely have the advantage when they go to that one-man advantage, but I think the referees have done a good job with, look, if a Lightning player strikes and a Panther player strikes, you go 4-on-4 instead of, calling the second guy who gets caught.
Well, that's what happened with Palat in the third period last night, Pete. Like I was mentioning earlier, the hit before Palat took the penalty was just as egregious. I think that's a Leo word right there.
Right there. Yeah.
When I did mention Barry, I meant Barry Melrose, the ex-Lightning coach, who has a tendency to just, always complain about the Lightning in some capacity. But he was talking earlier in the week on Mad Dog Chris Russo, and he was absolutely incorrect when he was talking about Stamkos and Hedman being 100%. In my opinion, from not only as a fan, but as a guy who covers this club, there's no way both of those guys are at 100% right now. And, you're going to have guys. Huberdeau played great last night for Florida. You got these guys that are chipping in. They're getting a little bit, they're trying to put the body on the Lightning. They had 46 to the Lightning's 40 hits last night. And to me, it's just about where the D-man, once again, has to get out there and block shots and do their job. And, you're talking about the game-winning goal. It was a beautiful pass from the sideboard out into the front of the net. And it got in and got through. So you're going to have that happen in hockey, and especially in the playoffs and in overtime. So the Lightning just have to pick themselves up by the bootstraps and be the championship team that they are. John Cooper's going to come back tomorrow night with a fantastic game plan. But, you're looking across the ice on that bench, and you've got Joe Quenneville, winner of 3 Stanley Cups with that Blackhawks team, and he's got a young, up-and-coming Panther team that's not going to be going away anytime soon. Not next year, not the following year.
Yeah, I mean, you got to like the adjustment that he made. Of course, 5 goals scored by the Lightning, including Ross Colton getting his first in the playoffs there. But Bobrovsky coming in, 9 shots. I mean, what do you think about that adjustment by Quenneville?
It's big, Pete, because Bobrovsky is one of the best goalies in the league. And for him to not be starting in game 2 or game 3, really had to question Quenneville. So now you got a goalie. Now you got a goalie coming up that's one of the best in the world, and with a lot of confidence after last night's game. What did the Lightning have? 6 shots in the third period. They really didn't show up in the third period and played protect hockey. And I hate when the Lightning play that. When they have a lead and they dump the puck and they go and chase and they forecheck and make the other team battle at the other side, at their net, that's when the Lightning are at their best. Once again, Killorn got a goal last night, which is great. Cirelli finally got off the schneid. When was the last time Cirelli scored? It was like 26 games at the end of the season before he finally scored. 26-2, obviously, with the 2 games in the playoffs. So he can add some things, and Yanni's going to get there sooner or later. And let's talk a little bit about Ross Colton coming in from the minors and really chipping in this year. I think he's got 8 or 9 goals, and I should know this right now, but I don't. I do believe he's got 8 or 9 goals, and let's hope somebody takes Tyler Johnson's contract at the end of this year. Hopefully, the Seattle Kraken expansion team, and you'll probably see Alex Killorn gone in some capacity too, to try to remove some of that salary cap to be able to stick Kucherov back on the team next year at full strength in game 1 of the 2022 season.
Now, I know you're all about the conspiracy theories here, but the story has been, the Lightning basically, they bench Kucherov and Stamkos to save cap. What are your thoughts?
Nothing about Stamkos, Pete. Stammer didn't have any effect on the salary cap, but it was a Kucherov deal. It was 100%, but it's part of the collective bargaining agreement. And the only ones that are complaining about it are teams that look at this Lightning team and say, "Oh, they manipulated the rules." Well, no, they didn't manipulate the rules. The rules are the rules. You sit there, and Patrick Kane did it in 2015 against this Lightning team. It's been done by other players, and if this guy was a 3rd or 4th liner, nobody would be complaining about it. But he is one of the top 5 players / goal scorers in the league, so people are going to complain. And he happens to be on a Stanley Cup championship team that's loaded with talent.
You're exactly right. We're on with Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. You also do some music stuff. Go ahead and promote yourself. Then I got one more question and I'll get you out of here. But promote your music stuff with
if you want to talk a little football, I got a few minutes too. We can talk a little bit of football, but you go to Rocket Sports and Entertainment. You can check out my coverage as far as sports and music, or you can go to knac.com, theloudest.com on the internet, and check out my primary outlet as far as music goes. Everything's coming back. We'll be out at Welcome to Rockville, possibly Louder Than Life out in Kentucky. There's tons of different festivals going on right now. Not right now, but in the fall. September is absolutely loaded. We'll be out at Warlando, which is a big new music festival in Orlando featuring Sabaton and Judas Priest, and then you name it, guys. It's going to be happening August, September, October, November. Welcome to Rockville once again at the Daytona Speedway for the first year. Multiple bands, any kind of rock band you want to see, it's going to be available August, September. And we might be out in Jacksonville, St. Augustine to cover Sammy Hagar on June 1st, June 2nd, because he'll also be out in Orlando. Guys, it's heating up. We're getting back out there, and it's going to be a great finish to 2021, leading into 2022, and try to get back to some level of normalcy.
Love it. Love it. Normalcy is what we need here. Of course, nothing is normal here. We're built different. That's what Notoriety Sports Network is all about. And that's definitely what the Sports Web is all about. The evolution of sports talk television on here with Travis Faley, my Tampa Bay Lightning insider, of course, around the NFL correspondent. And the big news around the NFL has been Tim Tebow, 1-year contract, $920,000. People are saying, well, he's taking away from the young tight end's job. He's doing this, he's doing that. But obviously, Urban Meyer and that coaching staff saw something in Tebow to offer him that contract. With that being said, do you think he has some type of impact, not only at the tight end position, but possibly at the quarterback position when they go with some of those exotic packages on the goal line?
It's not going to hurt him, Pete, to be out there. And people that are saying he's taking a job away, he's earned the right to possibly make a spot on a national football team. He's got the size, the skill, the talent, and the will. And, you get him in the locker room, he's going to be a positive effect on that team. And, if he doesn't make the team, if he can't compete, if he can't do the job, then maybe Urban Meyer will offer him a job as an assistant coach or something like that. I have no problem with them, giving Tebow an opportunity, because that's what it is. They're not guaranteeing him a job. They're giving him an opportunity. That's it. So I like it. We're also seeing some stuff going on with Aaron Rodgers possibly being moved. I know that's been something ad nauseum, but they're thinking that they might get three ones and some change. Where there's a lot of scouts and a lot of football people out there that saying that the Packers are no way going to get 2 3s, maybe maybe two ones and some change. And we're also seeing that Julio Jones obviously is on the market from what everybody's been saying, and Atlanta's let it be known. Well, they're saying that he might end up in Green Bay, and if Julio Jones is on Green Bay, and if Green Bay can play a little bit of defense, you'll see them possibly playing. It could be a triple team type scenario with the Dallas Cowboys, the Buccaneers, and the Packers all vying for those 2 spots in the NFC Championship game.
No, absolutely. And I think Julio Jones could be, headed to San Francisco and also possibly the New England Patriots. Do not rule it out. You need to get a weapon, whether it's for Cam Newton or Mac Jones. And to me, I think Jones is not necessarily, look, he's seen his best days. He's lost a couple of steps, but he can still be a top wide receiver if and only if he can stay healthy. I see a comment in there. The Bucs need Julio Jones. No, they don't. We'll go through that in a moment. So who has?
You just want him out of the division. That's all you want. You want Julio Jones out of the division.
Yeah, you want him out of the division. Why? Because he's a weapon. But the problem with Jones, and people are saying O.J. Howard has all the potential, but Jones has put up the numbers, and we've seen him take over games. But if he could stay healthy consistently for a team like the New England Patriots, they would be absolutely scary. Who has more pressure on them tomorrow? The Tampa Bay Lightning or the Florida Panthers? Go.
Oh, 100% it's the Lightning. Hands down, it's the Lightning. Obviously, the Panthers need to win tomorrow so they don't go down 3-1. But the Lightning definitely don't want to go 2-2 back to Florida. And that would give Florida 2 wins on the Lightning's home ice. And the Lightning don't want that. And I see the Lightning winning a game, maybe 4-1, 4-2 tomorrow. Maybe give up the Panthers a late goal to get it to 4-2. But I see this team rebounding, and hey, I think the place is going to be rocking, even though it is starting at 12:30 tomorrow. Ticket prices are through the roof. It's going to be packed, not packed, but COVID packed. So about 9,500, maybe 10,000 tomorrow. And I'm looking for a big Lightning turnaround and bounce back from Vasilevsky and the boys. And 4-1, 4-2 is my prediction.
All right, there you go. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, our Tampa Bay Lightning insider here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, a part of the I Love St. Pete platform, and of course, a part of the Notoriety Sports Network. Once again, go ahead and promote yourself, and we'll get you out of here.
Well, I'll promote myself, but I definitely want to promote some restaurants. There's some great places in St. Petersburg. I know we're on the I Love St. Pete platform. I know last time I talked about Grande Hacienda, but the best sandwich place, and I'm not getting paid to do this, I'm just saying, the best sandwich place in St. Petersburg is Big Stein's Deli on 4th Street North. Best sandwiches out there, cheesesteak, anything you want, great sandwiches out there. Big Stein's Deli, and I love the I Love St. Pete platform, and Notoriety Sports Network is where it's at, where it's going, and the future is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen.
The future is absolutely fantastic. Adding a football player like the Tony Casillas show from the Dallas Cowboys. More big announcements coming because, once again, this network is built different, and I feel like we're kind of a fit here on the Sports Web because we all know that Travis Faley is different, and that's why we keep on to bringing him back here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Travis Faley, Hot Travis Takes. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Sports Web.
Hot Takes with T. Faley, baby. Woo!
All right, get out of here.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to me ramble on. Now's the time. Time is now.
Good stuff. We may have to see you on Monday night here because I want to get more Lightning talk here on the Sports Web. All right, boss?
Absolutely. You do a great job, Pete, and everybody and the guys behind Notoriety Sports Network. Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Appreciate you. There you go. Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment. I'm excited. I'm excited about this Tampa Bay Lightning game tomorrow. Are you? I'm definitely excited about it. I know there's a lot of people down. I understand it. You don't want to lose in overtime. You don't want to lose to the stinking Panthers. But guys, they're good too. You saw that domination during the regular season. You knew that it was going to be a physical series. You knew there was going to be physicality. Leo Word. We'll get him back on here too, the legend himself, Leo Haggerty. So, look, if you play to lose, which is what the Lightning did last night, in my opinion, and you turn over the puck and you give a good team like the Panthers the opportunity to put the biscuit in the basket, they're going to do it. What do you think, Lightning fans? 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let me go out to the webheads here, Mr. Dylan Beeks, of course, owner of the Notoriety Sports Network. I like it a lot, my friend. DeMarcus Smith, LFG. And I believe that is Russ Lawson. OJ Howard's going to be great. DeMarcus says Warren Sapp, the God. We'll have that sound on from Are You Serious Sports Network from Blake Ruffino. All right, I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. We'll get Jason Powers on here in just a moment, but let's go out to Curtis from Newport Richie. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. A long time, my friend. Too long. What's up?
What's up, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I am doing effing fantastical. What's good with you, brother?
Hey, we're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning with Travis Faley, our Lightning insider. We'll see what the Lightning do tomorrow in Game 4. Disappointing loss in overtime. And, of course, you got your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the schedule being released. Of course, they open up versus America's team, which, by the way, can we put that nickname to bed? I mean, that was in the 70s. Yeah.
Listen, I hate to say this, but I'd rather call the Patriots America's team than the Cowboys. Okay,
America's cheaters. Yeah, that's what you would say.
So let's say this: I don't really follow hockey, but I am a Lightning fan, and I do love the Lightning. And we lost one game. So what? And I know the Panthers are tough because I've been paying attention actually, but I'm not worried about it. This team has championship pedigree. And Kucherov, I know he just came back, and he's going to make a difference.
2 goals his first night out in Game 1. I mean, impressive. And you could see how good that power play can be. Don't you, Lightning fans? With the Kucherov, with the Stamkos, with the Braden Point. Those guys can score. A Palat, very underrated. Go ahead.
Now, because I haven't talked to you in a while, I do want to touch about the Bucs schedule. Our schedule is our schedule's going to be hit or miss this year.
Yeah? Let me put the schedule up here. We got first week, you got Dallas. You got Atlanta the second week. You got the Rams the third week. A lot of people are circling that game as a possible loss.
Yeah, that's a
side of Super Bowl 56. And then you have New England.
Like the Rams game and really the Buffalo Bills game are the 2 games that I'm more interested in than any other game. I hope we go to New England and blow the doors off of Bill Belichick.
Well, if you ask Tom Brady's father, he pretty much think it's a foregone conclusion at this point.
I hope we drop 40. I hope we drop 40 or 50 on Belichick.
Right.
Just to do it. And Dallas, listen, let me tell you something. My prayers every year, I don't care what the Bucs record is. My prayers every year is for Dallas to go 0-16. I don't care. Just so I can watch how miserable their fans are going to be.
Well, the big time question is, can that defense stop anybody? Because they couldn't stop a common cold last year, and they
couldn't stop a napkin from getting wet in a sink full of water.
I'm telling you, and all this talk about them drafting Kyle Pitts in the offseason was complete nonsense. And if they would have done it, I would have done this. I mean, honestly.
Well, they were hurting during the draft because they couldn't get Patrick Surtain because everybody had been taking Patrick Surtain.
Right.
And, I know they were, and then when they took the kid Parsons, I'm like, well, I know Van Der Esch has been hurt, and then you got Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith. So then you took another linebacker, and I'm like, why?
I don't mind it because I think Parsons is a kid that, he has potential, right? I mean, you're not sure the character issues off the field, but that's the position you have to go to. A lot of people say he was the best defensive player in this draft, so I don't have a problem with the Dallas Cowboys doing that.
I don't have a problem with it, but, I'm sorry. As a Bucs fan, that's like if we just drafted Devin White 2-3 years ago and then we drafted another linebacker. You know what I'm saying? And, we already got him and Levante David. And, I know Levante Davis becoming an older gentleman. I ain't going to call him an old man because we love Levante David over here.
Right.
But, so. No, man, the schedule looks great. And, I'm ready I'm pumped. I'm ready for football season to start. And
what's your record? What are you thinking for this team right now? How many wins can they have? Some people saying 20-0. we all know that's very difficult.
I'm a realist. I don't, as a Bucs fan, we've come to the conclusion that sometimes we lose games that we shouldn't lose.
Mm-hmm.
It happens every single year. That Bears game is still stinging every time I think about it last year. That's another game that I know I'm very interested in watching is that Bears game.
Sure.
Especially if Justin Fields plays.
I would think he does. I mean, to me, if Fields is not your starter, if Andy Dalton is your starter, then the next question has to be addressed. Do you have a quarterback? And to me, I've said this over and over again. You drafted Justin Fields. I'm not sure why scouts soured on him so badly. He's proven himself. He played at Ohio State. He put up good numbers, played through an injury. To me, he is the future of the Chicago Bears. And if he's not your starting quarterback by then, I think you're in big trouble.
If he's not, I think Matt Nagy and Pace are out of here.
Exactly.
That's just going to be their problem.
Agree.
But record, I'm going to go with 13-4. I think that's a good record. I definitely believe we're going to win the NFC South with that.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
With that record.
Yeah.
I think that the only listen, I'm nervous about obviously Green Bay is always going to be up there because that division is just, I mean, they're the kings of their division.
Sure.
And then I like Seattle. I really like Seattle. A lot of people have their hopes in the San Fran. I like Arizona.
Well, I got to see Kyler Murray stay healthy. That's what it comes down to. Best availability. What is it? Was it best quality or something is availability, something along those lines. And when he got hurt last year, they're a different team. He has to stay healthy. He has to take that next step of being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. And look, he's got all the weapons around him, right? I mean, you have a DeAndre Hopkins. He was talking about possibly restructuring his deal for a Julio Jones. Of course, they pick up an AJ Green from the Bengals. So there's no reason why they can't be successful. Of course, you pick up a JJ Watt on the defensive side, but Murray has all the pressure on him. He's got to perform. I think he's kind of at the crossroads. I know it's crazy, but it's his third year. You got to take that next step, and we'll see if the Arizona Cardinals can do that because where Murray goes, that's where the Cardinals go.
I think Arizona has one problem, though.
What's that?
They can't run the ball.
Well, they got rid of Kenyon Drake, who looked like he got overpaid by the Raiders, but lo and behold, that's what John Gruden does with running backs. He's done that in the past. Chase Edmonds is the guy, so we'll see if that works out. He's got some youth. We know that they have to run the ball because if you don't run the ball, if you don't have balance to your offense, then once again you're putting your quarterback in the way. And I'm just not sure if I like a guy that's a mobile quarterback. I look at a Lamar Jackson, very mobile, can do so many things. But at a certain point, a defensive coordinator starts to pick up on those tendencies. And once they do, basically, you're done. So we'll see what happens with Murray in his third year.
Speaking of Lamar Jackson, I've been hearing rumors about Julio going to Baltimore, and I don't think he would like that fit.
I mean, can Jackson get him the ball consistently?
That's my point right there.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. For me, he works at New England and he works for San Francisco. If San Francisco could pull that deal off, to me, they're definitely the NFC West finalist there with the LA Rams. I mean, that's a tough division. You look at that division overall, LA Rams with Matt Stafford in that defense. You believe, once again, can Stafford stay healthy? It's an improvement over a Goff.
This is a proven year for Stafford because it's always been, he had Calvin Johnson for all those years.
Sure.
And, pretty much since Johnson left Detroit, that team has been terrible.
Yeah.
And, he's got a decent team around him because, right now. So let's see what Stafford really has left in the tank.
Agree. Absolutely agree. What he's got in the tank, you got San Francisco with Jimmy Garoppolo and their defense getting defensive starters back. Of course, you talked about Seattle, Russell Wilson, and the Arizona Cardinals. So that's a very tough division. Who knows what's going to happen with this Aaron Rodgers situation? What's your take on that?
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to sit out a year. Brady's going to retire, and Aaron Rodgers is going to come to Tampa.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I really don't. I'm not sure. I think. I tell you what, if that happens, that's the sound you're going to hear many NFL teams. Because you look at this offseason and people say, well, why is Russell Wilson wanting out because he looks at what Brady got. He looks at what Brady did. He believes he could do the same thing. He believes the team should give him the control over the offense and player acquisitions. And so is the same situation with an Aaron Rodgers. So if they somehow get Aaron Rodgers after Tom Brady retires, I think once again, this is what you're going to hear.
Here's my point, and this goes back to, Jameis Winston. And,
right.
I still love that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever he did off the field is his business. He did a lot of good things off the field, too, for kids and children's diabetes and stuff like that. But here's the thing. Everybody's talking about we're returning 22 starters this year.
Yeah.
Yes, that is great. But you have to remember, even when Brady came here, the team was pretty much put together.
Sure.
Brady got implanted on a team that everybody looked at as mediocre because our quarterback had 45 turnovers.
It's funny how that happens when you cut down on the turnovers. What happens with your offense? Buddy, we got to run. Use that second call. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there.
I got one last thing.
Yes.
I know I'm going to get some flack back for this.
Go for it.
Can we please leave football Jesus alone and Tim Tebow?
I mean, to me, I don't have a problem with him signing. Look, he knows Urban Meyer's system. If he can contribute, then leave the guy alone. People are saying, well, he's taken away from, a young tight end's job. They're coaching staff. They get paid millions of dollars. They believe that.
I have two things. I have two things to say, and I'm going to let you go.
Go for it.
Tim Tebow, we saw that kid's heart when he played for Florida.
Right.
The second thing is he played professional baseball. You have to be tough as hell to play professional baseball. Did you see that guy that got hit in the nose with the 94 miles per hour fastball last week?
Yes.
Okay.
Scary situation.
That guy is tough as damn nails.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All those guys are tough as nails. So I think Tebow, he doesn't have a problem coming in there. And it's not even going to be about him out there catching passes. I think they're going to really use him as an extra blocker.
Yeah.
Or like a fullback.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Anyway, hey, I'm watching Golden State play the Grizzlies, and I'll call you back in a little bit.
All right, man. Sounds good. Curtis from Newport Richie, definitely don't be a stranger on the Evolution, all right?
All right, brother.
All right. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's get to these comments, and then we'll get to our guest, Jason Powers of the Powers on Sports podcast. Yes, I got it right. I had it written down. We'll see what he thinks about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. An exclusive sound from the Are You Serious Sports Network's Blake Ruffino interviewing Warren Sapp. That's right, Bucs fans. A special treat tonight here on the Sports Web. Again, read these comments. Leanne Beek says clapping, so I will go ahead and give her a cannon right there. I'll give her this too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I got some sound effects tonight. I'm going to play around a little bit. That's what we do here on the Sports Web. Hello, Bucs family. I believe that's Yaj right there. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Lightning winning game 4. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. We need Julio Jones. No, you don't. Welcome to Tampa. Julio, that's not happening. Mac Jones, yes, most likely. I believe he's going to be the eventual starter for the New England Patriots. I think Cam Newton has seen his best days. Hey, what's up, everyone? That's Christopher Cole right there. Panthers had their backs against the wall last night. Agree. And I believe that is, I don't know who that is, but there is a special link there. You have to click on it. I'll be able to see your names. But I definitely read all the comments, want to see your names. So whoever you all call in or say who you are, and we'll get back to you. All right, let's get out to him. Let's get out to the power man himself.
Yeah, baby.
All right, there you go. Let's get out to Mr. Jason Powers here. The Powers on Sports podcast on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on I Love St. Pete. Of course, a part of the Notoriety Sports Network. Welcome, buddy. How you doing this Friday night?
Peter, how you doing, man?
Doing great, buddy. We can actually hear you this time. There's no echo. And, lots of Bucs news that we kind of missed out on. I promise I'm going to get more consistent on both of these platforms here on a Monday, maybe even a Wednesday night, and, of course, a Friday night edition of the Sports Web. But this was reported by Mike Garafolo. He said that Antonio Brown was signed, but what you come to find out on the Pewter Reports podcast is that necessarily has not happened because Coach BA says he has to pass his physical. Hopefully we'll have a scope on Tuesday. He's getting his knee cleaned up and everything will work out fine. He also says in response to why they wanted AB back, We wanted AB back. He was a model citizen the whole time he's been here. We wanted him back. He's never had surgery in his life, so it's just a matter of getting the physical done. Yeah, I wanted him back the whole time. It seems like BA, for a guy that was saying, no, he's not a fit in the locker room, really bought in to Mr. Brown there with his 45 catches and what he did last year for this Buccaneer team, right?
Absolutely. You'll see Antonio's short leash. He's been a good citizen because he basically his last chance. And I think working with Brady here to really him and keep him in line, the difference in Antonio acting out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. We're having that echo thing again, so give me a call back. I'm not gonna do that to my fans. I'm not gonna do that. It's high quality here. If I don't sound good, if my guests don't sound good, that's a direct reflection on me. I don't like that. Nothing against him. We'll figure this situation out, but sometimes tech happens. So, but you look at that AB story, right? What's the difference? What's the difference in the attitude of this organization? Let's go out to Mr. Jason Powers. Welcome back, buddy. And what are your thoughts on this situation? Is there any concern? And my, oh my, what a change of attitude, right, by BA in a year's time. Go ahead. Jason, are you there?
Peter.
Yes, there you are. Go ahead.
All right.
Yes, buddy. What's going on? What do you think about this Antonio Brown situation?
No, I think Antonio knows he's on a short leash. I think he's been a good citizen as a good teammate here. I think he knows his role here because when you really think about it, he's going to get great matchups with all the coverage going towards Gronk, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. He's typically going to be matched up on a third or fourth corner or even a safety at times. So I think this is a perfect spot for Antonio at this point of his career. I know he's not making the money he's wanting to make, but he's still in a great spot to win a second ring.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of people said the reason why the Bucs traded up in that fourth round to get a Jalen Darden was the reason maybe they had some concerns about the Brown injury, but they still brought him back. Do you think that, if one of these wide receivers goes down, that you put in a Tyler Johnson, a Scotty Miller, or even a Darden makes an impact in this offense this year? Or do you think maybe people are just thinking too much ahead?
No, I think Darden's going to be a developmental player. I think, he might make the roster as a fifth receiver, but I think he'll be a practice squad kind of guy. I think you'll see Justin Watson not on this football team. And I think Darden's a guy they really like as a potential. Him and Scotty Miller kind of will be a vying for playing time.
Yeah, he also had this to say. This is BA once again on the Pewter Reports podcast. This is pretty special just to get dressed on Sunday. You better be a hell of a special teams player too. The 5th and 6th spot, man. There's going to be some great competition. Justin Watson led us in special teams tackles last year. I couldn't get him dressed those last couple of games just because of the depth at the other positions. It's a great thing to have. They're all special in their own way. Tyler made those huge catches down the stretch. Scotty obviously made his big plays. Mike's Mike. Chris is Chris. AB has been doing it forever. Each guy's got a role. They accept their roles. And, man, to play quarterback with that group, it's a lot of fun, especially when you throw that tight end room in there. And much has been made about that tight end room with Gronkowski and O.J. Howard. This is a make or break year, in your opinion, for an Howard, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is, again, remember, you have such depth at the tight end position with Brate, Gronkowski. This is the 5th year of OJ's contract, so he'll be a free agent no matter what at the end of this year. Coming off this Achilles injury, it's going to be interesting to see what if he still has the explosiveness this year, especially. A lot of times you hear doctors say it's the second year after an Achilles injury where you regain your full explosion. So it'll be interesting to see what his physical condition is as we get to training camp.
I got to ask you, how did you feel about that number 1 pick? Did you like O.J. Howard at number 19, or would you have preferred a Dalvin Cook out of Florida State?
3-4 years ago, the sentiment wasn't to take running backs in the first round. I think Dalvin Cook it's better that he's out of the state of Florida. I know he had some off the field issues, and there was a lot of speculation about, his family down in South Florida could be a bad influence. I think it's better that he got out of the state of Florida, so I don't have a problem with the Bucs not taking him. Everybody thought O.J. Howard was a consensus top 10 pick. So, again, getting him at 19, we had a need at tight end, with a guy so athletic and is such a productive kid as he was at Alabama. I think I don't have a problem with the pick.
You don't have a problem with the pick at all. We're on with Jason Powers. Once again, the Powers on Sports podcast here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. We can get you on here if you have a question for Mr. Powers. That's right. I got to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
That's right. 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. Arians also talked about Kyle Trask.
Yes.
We talked about this pick. He had a rookie mini camp. This is what Coach Arians had to say. I thought he was great. I thought he was fantastic. He got 3 guys coaching the S out of him on each play, so they need to calm down and let him go. I'm really pleased with where he's at right now. Of course, according to Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times, Trask made every throw during the hour-plus practice on Saturday, while most were on target. Stroud did highlight that there was an underthrow. Besides that, Arians also talked about Trask again, saying, I think he grasped it very well. He was throwing the ball where it was supposed to go. He had a couple drops on him, but I thought he looked really good. Just the way he processes information. He took it from the first time ever hearing it. He was throwing it to the right guy. He was throwing against some really well-disguised coverages that he saw for the first day of his career. I was really impressed how he processed the information. He was very accurate, and that's what you have to be in any offense. You have to be accurate. You have to process information. That's the reason why Peyton Manning was, second overall pick, because he could process information. I'm not saying Trask is going to be that, but of course he has that opportunity to learn from the greatest of all time in a Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, I think with minicamp, are you going to hear the head coach come out and say that Kyle Trask struggled, even if he didn't? Right. They're always going to try to hype up their first and second round draft picks. I think that, again, like you mentioned, the strength of Kyle Trask is his ability to process information fast, and he's an accurate thrower. We know he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but he's got enough arm to do what he's got to do in this offense. So I think it's, a good start for Kyle Trask. Again, you're not going to hear Bruce Arians come out and kill Kyle Trask, even if he would have struggled in minicamp. I think it's positive that he did come out and say good things about him. But again, no coach around the league is going to come out and kill their first and second round draft picks in a mini camp situation.
I agree with you. And a lot of people make a lot about it. Of course, there's a lot of Seminole fans out there. A lot of Hurricane fans didn't necessarily like the pick. But good look, again, you get a guy in the second round, 43 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Yeah. He may not necessarily have the greatest arm in the world. Again, I'm making this comparison. Neither did Peyton Manning, but if you're accurate with those throws and you're fast with processing information and you can get a difficult offense, and by no means do I think he's going to start this year. Of course, nobody wants to see Trask or Blaine Gabbert start, which we'll get back to in a moment. But if he's able to grasp the offense and then on top of it, having something that no other quarterback has that access to have the ability to get mentored by a Brady is just invaluable.
No, absolutely. I mean, if Kyle Trask is playing quarterback for the Buccaneers this year, we will struggle to be a 500 football team. Right. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, this team is being built for the now, being built for today, the next 2 years, the 2-year window with Brady. And, and obviously if Tom Brady goes down, then the Buccaneers' Super Bowl aspirations are probably dead, to be honest with you. The defense is good, but it's not that dominant to where they're going to be able to carry a guy like Kyle Trask. This is, again, perfect situation for Kyle. He can sit for 2 or 3 years or however long it takes. I would expect him next year to be the backup and, Gabbert and Ryan Griffin be gone. But this year, he'll be the third guy. Gabbert or Ryan Griffin will be the backup. And then just a perfect spot for him to just soak it all up, learn the professional life, learn the NFL life. It's a different life than college. You're not having to go to class, learn the professional life. And Brady's the best guy to learn how to do that stuff from.
Absolutely. He is consummate professional, of course, having a coaching staff with Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, on it also helps. And Arians was asked in this Pewter Report podcast, which it did a hell of a job, bang up job by them, about his, his future, because a lot of people have kind of said, and I've been on here, if Arians retires, I believe Byron Leftwich is the coach in waiting, simply because BA has pushed him, sold him to the Glazers. On top of it, having a top 5, a top 10 offense looks good. He would be a hot commodity. I feel like the Bucs would not let him get away. It would not be a Mike Tomlin situation where they let Tomlin get out of that building. They would hire a Leftwich over a Todd Bowles. But he said, oh, yeah, that's the plan. I don't have any plans on retiring. It's just when I do want to go back to work, when I'm excited about going back to work, then I'm cheating somebody. I'm cheating the Glazer family. When I'm not going back to work, when I'm not excited, when he doesn't want to go back to work, and when he's not excited, I'm cheating the Glazer family. I'm cheating my players. Right now, I can't wait to get back to work. I don't know when that's going to happen, but no, I'm not tied to any players. He also had this to say about Blaine Gabbert. See if you buy this or not. I'll be honest with you. I'd be excited to take Blaine Gabbert to war because I love Blaine Gabbert. I think he's the most underrated player in the NFL. So, yeah, when it's not fun, then it will be time. You buy any of this stuff about Blaine Gabbert being underrated? Is Gabbert underrated? And how long, in your opinion, do you think a BA will continue to coach for the Bucs?
First of all, Blaine Gabbert being underrated. Are you kidding me? I mean, again. Do I expect Bruce Arians to knock his backup quarterback, a guy he's been with for multiple years in Arizona and Tampa? Of course not. Now, most underrated player in the NFL, that's a little rough to take, Bruce, but come on. But is Blaine Gabbert a solid backup where he could be a guy you could lean on for 2 or 3 games if something did happen to Brady and stay afloat? Probably. And again, he knows that system inside and out. Obviously he was a former first-round draft pick out of Missouri, didn't do real well in Jacksonville, and popped around a couple spots before he got hooked up with Arians. But no, I mean, Blaine Gabbert is what he is. He's a number 2. He's a middle-of-the-road backup quarterback in the NFL. But again, if Arians trusts him, that's half the battle. You want to have somebody you trust to step in there if something were to happen to Brady. Going on to Bruce Arians' future, I think his longevity as a Buccaneer coach is probably going to be tied to Tom Brady. I think Arians signed a 4-year contract, and this is going to be year 3 of that contract. So if Brady played 2 more years and retired, I think he's going to be directly tied to Tom Brady. And if the Buccaneers are still in serious contention 2 years from now, as in deep in the playoffs, I think Bruce Arians is going to stay around. One thing he's done a great job that he didn't do in Arizona is he's delegated more. He's allowed Byron Leftwich to kind of run the offense. He's allowed Todd Bowles to run the defense, where in Arizona he was day-to-day, hour-to-hour running that offense, where he can now take a more macro approach with the football team. He can take some time off. He doesn't have to be as stressed out as he was in Arizona, making every single play call. I think that's been a big benefit to him. I think living in Florida is a great thing for him, too, with the nice weather and all that good stuff. I had his wife, Chris Arians, on my podcast about a month or so back, and she talked about just the love of they live down here by the water. They love being around the water. Their children come visit them. They have a lake house up in Georgia, so they're close to that instead of being in Arizona. So I think the lifestyle of Florida and the Tampa Bay is really appealing to Bruce as well.
And we're on with Jason Powers here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Once again, that podcast name so people can look it up.
Yes, the Powers on Sports podcast. All of your different podcast platforms: Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. We just released an episode today previewing the NBA playoffs. Before I go, Pete, I got to ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on this whole Tony La Russa controversy. Obviously, La Russa's a Tampa guy managing the White Sox. We had the controversy where his player seems like he disobeyed the take sign, hit the 3-0, 47-mile-an-hour eephus pitch when it was 15-4. Give me your thoughts on that La Russa controversy with the White Sox.
Well, I think it's going to be tough for him to relate to younger players, and I think that that had to be the big-time concession with his age, with his old-school mentality. Look, there's players in there. They have to respect him. So to me, if he wants to continue being manager of the Chicago White Sox, and it seems like he's done a good job so far with all that talent, then I feel like this has definitely got to calm down. But if not, then the White Sox are seriously going to have to consider making a move, because at the end of the day, if you don't have your players believing in you and doing what you're supposed to do and developing those relationships as a manager, as a coach, which we saw what BA did with the Bucks, then it's just not going to work no matter how much talent you have.
Yeah, I was just a little surprised that LaRussa was critical publicly of Mercedes.
Yeah.
You know, obviously what Mercedes did probably wasn't the right thing. He didn't observe the take sign, but I was just surprised that he just lambasted him like he did in the media, as opposed to, you know, having a meeting with them the next day and say, hey, that's not how we do it here. That's not how we're going to play the game with the White Sox. And you're right. I mean, he is an older guy, so he's got his roots as far as things he really believes in, but got to give him credit. LaRussa's done a great job so far in Chicago. Reinsdorf loves him, the owner of the White Sox. Obviously, this is his second stint there. So it'll be interesting to see how that locker room and that clubhouse readapt to him and all that stuff as we move forward.
Absolutely. I tell you what, let's move forward here with the running back situation. Arians had this to say about the running backs. Of course, you know, he said earlier a couple months ago that every position is up for competition. Of course, a lot of people would point to Leonard Fournette's postseason performance that he would basically beat out of Ronald Jones, the victim of volume, which I don't think necessarily. I still think Jones is the best running back.
I agree.
What he said is, of all the positions, it's probably the one where those two guys will compete, but they're both going to play. They're so talented and they bring so much to the table. Hopefully, if they're both healthy, they're splitting time. I know fantasy doesn't like that, but those two guys, I mean, Rojo is one of the best runners I've been around. Lenny had that great run in the playoffs. He showed why they drafted him for the top 5. So we're blessed to have the group of backs with Keyshawn and Gio. It's a hell of a group. He also had this to say about Giovanni Bernard. Noah was actually extremely pleased with where in that running back room. Then when Gio became available, it's like, hey, we got to look into this because this is another proven guy on third downs who can really catch the ball, a good pass protector. I love Keyshawn Vaughn. I love Rojo and Lenny. So we got a great room going already, but throw Gio in there, add him into the mix, and it's one of the best rooms in the league, I think. You agree?
Oh, I agree. No doubt about it. I'm with you. And I'm a big Ronald Jones believer.
Say it. Say it. A victim of volume. He is a victim of volume. Say it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing he has.
No, you didn't. You didn't say it, baby. You didn't say it. You gotta say it. The victim.
He's a victim of volume.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Now preach on, brother.
Yes, Mr. Jones from the Counting Crows, Mr. Jones, he's got to prove that he can stay healthy. I know last year, I think they got a little frustrated with him late in the year. You had that incident in Washington where he let them know right before in pregame warmups that his quad was bothering him. I think that was something that the coaching staff didn't love. And also, do you realize Ronald Jones is still only 23 years old?
Yeah.
Seems like he's been around here forever, but he's 23 years old. He's still a young player going into year 3. And I think he had a really good, we had the 98-yard run at Carolina last year.
Sure.
Solid run. And he's realizing what it is to be a professional, reading the holes, running the plays like they're designed to be run, not trying to bounce everything outside like he used to do at USC.
Exactly. And look, he's looking for the big play, and you've got to do a good job with look, when you open up that space, he's got that ability. He's got that electric ability when he gets out in space. He can go for 60 yards. We saw it last year. I feel like what you're missing out on, you need to give him the ball 20 to 25 times, but that's why they have a Leonard Fournette. That's why they have a Giovanni Bernard and, of course, a Keyshawn Vaughn. And speaking of Vaughn, this is what BA said about him. I think Vaughn could continue to grow as a player. He's a hell of a runner. He's getting better as a receiver, really bright guy, good blitz pickup guy. I would never be shocked if he was one of our lead dog. If he was our lead dog, he has that type of ability to be our lead dog. Wow. You never know with injury. I mean, Lenny was sitting there not knowing what his role was. All of a sudden, Rojo gets hurt. He's playoff Lenny. So you never know in that room. You cannot have enough good backs. I think he's on to something. You look at that running game with having that balance, taking the pressure off of a Tom Brady. That offense became dynamic when that running game came alive in that postseason. What do you say about a Keyshawn Vaughn? Do you buy this? Could he become a lead dog this year if, say, knock on wood, the victim of volume in a Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette gets hurt?
Oh, I mean, I was surprised. I mean, that was one of the predictions I thought was going to happen in the offseason, that the Bucs were not going to re-sign Leonard Fournette, one, to save a little bit of salary cap dollars, because I thought that they really believed that they really, really liked Keyshawn Vaughn. You heard comments towards the tail end of last year. Arians would every couple of weeks, he would suddenly drop down in a press conference, "Hey, Keyshawn Vaughn's doing really well. We really like what we see out of Keyshawn." You know, if you remember, Pete, he had a big drop. They threw like a wheel route to him for a touchdown, and it went right through his hands. He dropped the ball like probably week 10, week 11, something like that. He had a couple of nice runs in a couple of those games, but I think the Keyshawn Vaughn role could be this year, could be more of a third down guy if Bernard doesn't work out or Bernard's injured. Bernard's had some injury problems over his career. So again, I could definitely see Keyshawn Vaughn being that third down option, because I don't think he's going to supplant Jones or Fournette just in a pure volume per carry perspective. And Pete,
yes,
how many, and I'm with you on Ronald Jones, but unfortunately the days of the running back getting 25 carries, one guy on one team, are pretty few and far between. So, but I'm with you. I think Ronald Jones is the better player of the two, of him and Ronald and him and Leonard Fournette.
What was he, like 22 yards away from 1,000? And of course, those those opportunities went to an Antonio Brown because he was trying to get his contract. Of course, right. Jones coming into a contract year, so we'll see how that plays out. We're going to have Nick Alvarez on here in just a little bit. Nick, stay tuned here. We're running just a little bit behind, but I want to play these comments exclusively here on the Sports Web from the Are You Serious Sports Network. And Warren Sapp, Blake Ruffino did a hell of a job with this interview. So stand by. Go ahead and mute yourself. Let's go out to Blake Ruffino interviewing Warren Sapp about this Buccaneer defense, Devin White and Lavonte David. Here we go.
If you can find me a faster middle linebacker anywhere on God's green earth, please point him out. Ray Lewis wasn't even as fast as Devin White.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
White is an animal, and they definitely the best, but you got to put three linebackers in to make it a whole trio. That's the whole thing. You need three.
What do you think makes Devin so good? I mean, he's good against the run. He's good against the passes. I don't want to ask this because I can see bias from me from covering the guy for so long. Warren, is he the best linebacker in the NFL right now, in your opinion?
You know what? I'm really not a linebacker guy. I defer to Derek Brooks. I'd have to call Derek Brooks and get that one, but he ain't far off. Mm-hmm. I know that. He's definitely top 5. And that's always been the thing that me and Brooks always talked about. When the discussion comes up about your position, you got to be in the first 5 names they name. And when you're in the first 5 names that they name, that gets you all pro, and that gets you where you want to go. Start collecting chips as far as the chips you're going to need when your career is over, and you throw them on the table and they ask you, are you a Hall of Famer? And you throw them chips and say, I'm all in.
All right, there you go. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television here. Once again, thanks to Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Talk Show, talking to Warren Sapp. Your thoughts? I mean, it was pretty much spot on by Sapp how fast he is. White just ran in a race with wide receivers in a Henry Ruggs, a McCole Hardman, and of course, Jefferson from the Minnesota Vikings. Get this, at 240 pounds, a 4.37. Talk about White and Lavonte David. Is Sapp right?
Oh, there's no doubt. Devin White's definitely going to be is a top 5 linebacker in the league. I think the big jump in Devin White's game was year 1. He was kind of more of a, I'm just going to do what I think. I'm just going to do what I'm used to doing at LSU, whereas Todd Bowles has really gotten him to learn that system and to really fit into the fits of each guy on defense as their fit. They're still going to give Devin White plenty of opportunity to roam into blitz, and he's such a great blitzer as a pass rusher up the middle. That's one of the most underappreciated things about his game is his ability to pick the right hole when he's blitzing and that kind of stuff. But especially in the run game, he did a much better job this last year of filling his gap, not freelancing so much and allowing the other guys on defense to do their job, the Lavonte Davids. And what a perfect tandem. You got the older guy in Lavonte, who's been around forever, and you got the young buck in Devin White, who's just blossoming before our eyes. And you're right, he'll definitely be a top 2 or 3 linebacker in the league, and if he's definitely a top 2 or 3 middle linebacker already.
Yeah, 3rd year, and Sapp said he's faster than Ray Lewis. I mean, that's amazing to me, and that's a player from the U. Ray Lewis is a Hall of Famer, and he's saying he's faster than Ray Lewis. That's unbelievable, and the way he played in that postseason, I feel like the way he played in this season, I feel like the sky's the limit for this kid. He's only going to get better. Let's go back out to Sap on the Are You Serious Sports Network with Blake Ruffino talking about if he could play today. Very interesting. We'll come back here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Stand by.
Changed now. It's kind of like basketball on grass now. As a defensive lineman from an X's and O's standpoint, with the RPO game being as big as it is now, from a defensive line perspective, do you think it's tougher to be a defensive lineman in today's game with all the offenses that they get? Can't touch the quarterback, all stuff like that. Do you think it's tougher to be a D lineman now than it was when you played?
No, because the one rule that will never, ever change in this great game that we know and love and, savor until it comes back around every year. Offensive linemen don't lie. They don't have time to lie. They don't. If it's a scoop block, if it's a reach block, or it's a double team, or they pull it, they gotta go.
Right.
They don't have time. The biggest lie you will ever be told as a defensive lineman is a flash trap.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the biggest lie they can tell you is a flash trap, and you got to get underneath the puller that's coming to try to clean you out. Influence trap, only thing you got to do is squeeze it. Everything else, the game hasn't changed, other than that throwing it 40 times, and I'd really like to play this game right now. Holy smokes. Oh, my God. They're deploying 5 at will right now. I'm like, oh, my God, they're only leaving 5 to block for it. Holy smokes. I can have a field day at this thing. Just one-on-ones everywhere.
Literally. And you bring up an interesting point. One-on-ones everywhere because they got 7 guys out and routes, and they're trying to throw it all over the place. Do you think that that's why a guy like an Aaron Donald has so much success? Because a lot of times he's just got one-on-one coverage. Sometimes he gets doubled, but a lot of times when he gets sacked, it's one-on-one. Do you think that that's a reason why he has so much success?
You know this. This man is taking advantage of what's being presented to him. But I've watched him have a 4-sack game and the opposing quarterback throw a touchdown and beat him 54-51.
Right.
I got a rule. If I sack your quarterback 3 times, you're working on your second quarterback. Because if I sacked him 3 times, that means I hit him like 6 to 9 times. He ain't still standing. I mean, that just doesn't happen. If I sack your quarterback 3 times, you work unless it's Brett Favre. I will put that caveat in. There's always that one that is never going to go out, and that was him for me. He was going to find a way to play the next snap. I mean, he just kept doing it over and over and over again. Oh, what a boy.
In this league right now, we'll
change now.
Hold on a sec there. There we go. All right, we're back on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on the Notoriety Sports Network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers here. In your opinion, do you feel like a Warren Sapp could play in this league? It comes down to one-on-one matchups. Could Sapp still be a beast in this league, in your opinion?
Absolutely. Warren's strength was his foot quickness and his technique with his hands. I mean, he was never the biggest guy. He was never the strongest guy, but his technique was immaculate. And he just had a knack for knowing, again, like he made a great comment, reading what the offensive linemen were doing, whether it's a pulling guard, a double team type situation. One advantage Warren did have is the other guys on that defensive line that he played with in Tampa, the Simeon Rices, the McFarlands, the Reagan Upshaws, those kind of guys. They were excellent space eaters. They didn't cause every double team to have to go to Sapp. Simeon Rice required a double team from time to time. He didn't have to face the double team every single snap, but Sapp's technique, he would still be a dominant player. And again, the comp to Sapp is Aaron Donald. I mean, he is the prototype guy, 3 technique, and like Sapp used to wreak havoc, Aaron Donald wreaks havoc in this game as well.
We're on with Jason Powers. What's your favorite memory of Sapp?
I think always were his one-on-one battles with Brett Favre. Those battles in Green Bay, whether they were here in Lambeau, when he and Brett would just talk smack, and we would still play Green Bay a couple times a year. To me, those were the great battles. They were never malicious. I mean, obviously they wanted to beat each other's brains out, but they were always very competitive with each other. The one moment we probably all remember was Sapp 2 was kind of the crackback block that he had on what Kyle Kyle Clifton on that Monday night here in Tampa when we intercepted the ball. And that was one of the things that really might have changed the rule in the NFL about that was kind of, I won't say a cheap shot, but it kind of was knock Clifton out of the game. And if you remember the Green Bay coaching staff, I think Mike Sherman was the head coach. They went nuts and they wanted a piece of Sapp, and Sapp said, "Bring it on." So it just his competitive nature, and he, the lineage he comes from the U, the smack talk, the bravado, made such an impact here in the Tampa Bay defense.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you said Favre because that's exactly what Sapp talked about with the Blake Ruffino of Are You Serious Sports Network. In fact, let's go ahead and go back out to him. Stand by.
When I hit him and I got the ball, I was. They don't show you this part, but I'm holding him down by the back of his jersey. Mm-hmm. I got his name in my hand, and I'm holding him down, and I'm yelling, "Get the ball! Get the ball! Get the ball!" And he's trying to get out from underneath me, and he's shaking. So I finally let him go, and he pops out from underneath me, and I turn. I said, "What you gonna do?" He's going to push me, and he's going to put his hands on me, and I told him to get your hands off me. I said, "You got them hands on me now. Come on, get your hands on me." So he go to talk, "Wolf." I said, "There we go. Now you can talk, but just don't put your hands on me, big boy." And then the ref's looking at it like that. So I turn, and it's Johnny Greer is the referee. So I turn, he looks at me, I say, "We're going to have a good time today." He said, "As long as you keep it like that, we're going to have a real good day." I said, "Well, that's what it's going to be." And we went from there. And oh, my God. We had fun that Sunday afternoon.
And I tell you right now, that was definitely fun. And again, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television on the I Love St. Pete platform. It's the Sports Web live on the Notoriety Sports Network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers. Going back to that game, he's talking about the 97 wild card game. And look, the Bucs lost, but that defense gave Favre and that explosive offense everything they could handle. And the one memory you always go back to is the Sapp-Favre battle, which started it all. That defense really grew up, and you knew that not only was Sapp special, Derek Brooks special, but the whole entire defense was special of what they did to the Packers and Favre that day, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was just, that was the beginning of the ascension of this Buccaneer franchise from the depths of where they were at. Dungy was finally getting his culture instilled in the team. That Tampa 2 defense was coming together. The quality draft picks that they had finally accumulated, some quality draft picks. Remember, Sapp would have been a top 3 or 4 pick in the draft,
yes,
if not for the allegations of the marijuana use and all that in Miami,
right,
the drug use.
Ridiculous.
I mean, he fell to us when we got him, and we really had no business getting Warren Sapp in that particular draft.
Thank you to the New York Jets, which, by the way, means just in the season, because when they passed on Sapp, this is what the fans were doing. They took Kyle Brady, not Tom Brady, Kyle Brady, the tight end, over a guy like a Warren Sapp, and they have regretted it along with the other teams that passed on him. Of course, what I learned from Leo Haggerty, that was actually put out there by the Chicago Bears so he could drop to them or a team could try to trade up and get him, and consequently he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, being from Florida. And that draft in itself, getting a Sapp, getting a Derek Brooks, trading up with the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, thank you very much to the Dallas Cowboys for trading. Bucs fans all across America and the Tampa Bay area appreciate that, of course. They should have never made that trade. Getting a Derek Brooks and a Warren Sapp, it really transformed this franchise. And, of course, it ended up making Sapp a Hall of Famer. He talked about that Hall of Fame experience once again with Blake Ruffino on Are You Serious Sports Network. Let's go out to it, and then we'll get you out of here.
Hall of Famer is a question that I've always wanted to ask you. Was there a part in your career, Warren, when you were playing, maybe at the inner part of your career, maybe even after, that you just knew that you were going to be a first ballot guy? Was there something that clicked in your head, just like, look, I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer, and because of everything that I did on the field? Did you ever have that moment?
Guy. You're a funny guy. You're a funny guy. No way on earth. No, listen to me. Because it happened on February the 2nd, Groundhog Day, the actual Groundhog Day. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. Every day I can play it through my mind, where me and my homeboys was just trying to find something for me to do to keep this thing off my mind, because there was no knock on the door. There was no trip to the Super Bowl. There was none of this. Before David Baker got to the Hall of Fame, none of this existed. And this was the golden class. This was the 50th year that they was going to put in. There was nothing guaranteed for me except my name was on the ballot. Other than that, and I was one of the 15 finalists. That was the only thing that was guaranteed to me. Well, semifinalists, well, finalists, 15 finalists, and then 15 finalists, and then they picked 7. So, no, trust me, I was sitting there just like you was when I found out.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a video of it, me yelling at the TV.
So, Warren, very quickly, just for the viewers, now they do the knock on the door. You didn't have the knock on the door, so you said that they called you, correct?
No.
Oh, wow.
No, I watched it on TV just like you did. I have a video. My homeboy put the camera in the corner of my hotel room and pushed record, and just nobody knew it was on except him. And he played it back for me later on that night. And I looked at him and said, I'd have killed you if I didn't make the Hall of Fame, dog. He was like, I was going to get the footage. He was like, I was going to get the footage.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh, it was classic. It was classic. I found out just like you found out. I was yelling at the TV. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, but I'll do it all over again.
There you go. Welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television live here on the Notoriety Sports Network and I Love St. Pete. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, here on this Friday night along with the Power Man himself. Yes.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know if his middle name is Danger or not. We got Jason Powers on here. Your thoughts on his comments and where in the pantheon, Leo word, does he rank as your top 5 Bucks of all time? Is he number 1? Where does he rank? Go ahead. Give me your top 5 and then we'll get you out of here.
My top 5 Bucks of all time.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, I can't put him at number 1 because of some of the off the field issues that he's had.
Wow.
I would say I think you still got to put Leroy Selman as the one in the one hole because of his impact in the community, his impact on the field as an joining us as an expansion. In the expansion years. I would probably put Brooks 2. I would probably put probably Sapp 3, to be honest with you. He'd probably be right behind Brooks in a close third. 4 would probably, in the scary part is all these are all defensive guys. Right. I wish we had an offensive player to be able to do that. I mean, maybe James Wilder potentially, but, his career probably wasn't, he didn't have any team success, so it's probably hard to do that. But Sapp 3, I'd probably put, golly,
Tom Brady. I mean, don't you put Tom Brady in that conversation a little bit? I mean, he's won you a Super Bowl already. I mean, it's tough. You're exactly right. I always loved Doug Williams. My mom's tuned in. My aunt's tuned in. Big time Bucs fans always hear about Doug Williams and what he could have done. Leading this team to the NFC Championship, falling short 9-0 to the LA Rams. But the impact he had on this community, the impact that he had on this team. I mean, Leroy is great. Warren Sapp is great. Derek Brooks is great. Doug is definitely in there. Tom Brady's in there. Of course, James Wilder. I mean, it's such a tough conversation.
Here's an underrated guy.
Yeah.
How about Paul Gruber, left tackle?
The stalwart left tackle.
Yes.
Probably one of the only Pro Bowlers back then when that pirate was winking at you. Everybody's, Bucko Bruce and those colors. But those colors meant there was a lot of losses and a lot of blackouts. And kids, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and Google it. That's when they used to black out the home games because there wasn't enough fans out there, because the fans would actually take their tickets, go to the game, and then leave them on the other cars there so people could pick them up. That's how bad that team was. You look at Gruber being on that left side. If he had a little bit more pub, if he had a little bit more notoriety, right, then
I don't think you can put Tom Brady after 1 year there. I know he won the Super Bowl and he was instrumental. Now, if he does a 3-year run and they win another Super Bowl, or even if they don't, if he does 3 great years, then I think you definitely put him in the mix. But I just don't think you put him in there after 1 year as an all-time great. Maybe a guy like, you had Leroy, maybe a guy like Ricky Bell, who had such a great career for a short period of time. It was tragically, tragically with the illness he had. So a guy like that, maybe even a John McKay. John McKay, who kind of helped build this franchise.
Although there were fans at a time who would say, throw McKay in the Bay. But, of course, as we know, expansion is totally different back then to what it is now, especially with Jacksonville and Carolina, what they've been able to do and the other teams coming forward here. Good stuff, Mr. Jason Powers. Go ahead and promote yourself, and we'll get you on the evolution. We got to work on this video thing, but go ahead and promote yourself here, buddy.
Well, keep up the great work, man, with I Love St. Pete and the Sports Notoriety Network. Keep up you're doing a great job, man.
Thank you.
Check me out. Check out the podcast, the Powers on Sports podcast on any of your podcast platforms. Reach out to me on Twitter at JPostSports. JPostSports. Real easy to find me. Love to hear from you. And Pete, we're going to have you on my podcast here in the next couple of weeks. That's a guarantee.
Sounds good, my friend. And definitely you're not going to be a stranger because, of course, you're a part of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Thanks a lot for your time here on this Friday night. All right, boss?
Have a great week, Pete.
All right, there you go, Mr. Jason Powers. I call him Danger right there.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And look, if you haven't seen Austin Powers and you don't know that joke, I feel sorry for you. I mean, honestly. And again, I got all these sound effects I'm playing with. I mean, I got this right here.
Yeah.
I gotta like that. I'll tell you right now, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll have Nick Alvarez of the Notoriety Sports Network in Houston here on I Love St. Pete on the Sports Web. Keep it locked.
Notoriety Sports Network. Breaking news, live shows, unprecedented content. Notoriety Sports Network. Built different.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let me read these comments, and then we will get out to Mr. Patient himself, Nick Alvarez of the Houston Notoriety Sports Network. Once again, Troy says, Tebow, us already a better tight end than Bray. Come on, Troy. Florida and Alabama players don't do well in Tampa. Chris Cole says, hello, what's going on? Cats, 2012 NC. Hello, everyone. What's going on? It's a family affair here on the evolution. My Aunt Tammy, my godmother, looks good, sounds good, and doing great. I like it. I got to go ahead and fire those cannons right there. It's always good when family tunes in because, look, family can be biased, but they can also be highly critical. Trust me. Look it up to you, Dad. If I did bad, he let me know about it. So I'm glad the family is tuned in tonight. Appreciate you, Aunt Tammy. This show sounds good, looks good, and you're doing great. Thank you very much. My agent to be, of course, make friends with her webheads. Sandra Nagel, my mother, watching the best sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area, the Sports Web with I Love St. Pete and the Notoriety Sports Network, built different. And in case you didn't get the breaking news of the week, for this network, the Tony Casillas show has been added. In fact, I believe there's another show tomorrow. He's going to have Chuck Liddell from UFC. The big cannons are coming out. I got to fire them. This network is growing by leaps and bounds day after day. Just continue to watch and just look at what we're going to do next. Sapp is a beast. It took 3 guys to block him. Absolutely agree. Let me go out to my guest here. We're supposed to have him on at 10 o'clock, but I told him 10 to 10:30 because you just never know when you get those sound bites of a Hall of Famer and Warren Sapp. You got to jump all over it. Let's go out to Nick Alvarez, Houston. Of course, Notoriety Sports Network. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. And it's good to have you on here. I always try to cross-promote the shows. And like I said, this network is just growing leaps and bounds with Tony Casillas' show being added, with Philly and Houston. Go ahead and promote your show here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television live on I Love St. Pete and, of course, NSN.
Hey, everybody. Like I said, I'm Nick. I'm part of the NSN Houston. We come on at 7:30 Central Time. That's 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Western. We talk Astros, Rockets, and of course, the Houston Texans. It's me, Caleb, Zach. We have a little bit of everything, have a good feel of everything. You know, we're doing what we can for the family. Notoriety Sports Network. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. And I tell you right now, you look at that situation in Houston. Of course, you got the Astros being hated by all of Major League Baseball, including their fans, you know, with the cheating scandal. But I've got to talk about the Houston Texans. All eyes have been on Deshaun Watson. What are your thoughts about that situation? And in your opinion, do you think the NFL really cracks down on him by suspending him a year or longer?
It is a very, very murky situation here. Every day in the news, it's something different. It's something that's positive for him, and then it's negative. Positive, negative. I do feel that nothing's going to be done this year for him to play, sadly, from the way it looks. I do feel what you just said, that the NFL cracks down on him, kind of makes an example of him. We've seen that before, especially with the NFL. So I feel with the moves the Texans are making, especially signing now a fourth quarterback, I feel that they also understand, hey, we may not have Deshaun Watson at all. No matter if he's putting his workout videos on Instagram, no matter what he does on there, because they've stayed away from it. They haven't even touched it, talked about it, which is smart on their part as an organization. But I do feel that he may not even take a snap this season just because of all the legal allegations that need to be handled in due time.
Give me the feel of the fan base there, because I felt like this was going to be a dumpster fire. No offense, but when you get rid of a DeAndre Hopkins for basically a David Johnson who's broken down, you know, a couple picks, that's your biggest weapon. You take that away from Deshaun Watson, and I don't understand how first fan bases weren't upset about it, and then on top of it, how you didn't fire Bill O'Brien right on the spot. I mean, talk about that trade and the reaction there in the Houston area.
The DeAndre Hopkins trade made the city go quiet. It felt like, you know, you lost somebody basically. The streets were very buzzy, but it hurt. It hurt to see somebody that we took in. The thing is about Houston fans, and it's like a lot of cities, when you have those players, those are like your kids. Like, we defend these players no matter what, no matter if they have a good game, bad game. That's how it is. And DeAndre Hopkins was one of those guys. We would always argue with anybody. He's the best wide receiver in the NFL, period. And for him to just go for out of nowhere, especially for the trade that it was, Bill O'Brien became enemy number one in Houston. There was no fan that you would talk to that was like, yeah, this is a good trade. And it just kept getting worse as the season progressed. It just felt like, how can you keep him? And there's been so many stories now with the organization of just it getting worse, of ex-players. Like for Andre Johnson, the most humble guy in probably the history of the Texans, to come out and say something, that speaks volumes, I feel. And I feel that as an organization, you should really try to understand where they're coming from. And that's where the fans kind of are at. The fans are pretty much on the players' side. And they're honestly, with the Deshaun Watson thing, it's 50-50 right now. You have fans that still love him and want him and support him. And then you have fans that I feel just want to wipe their hands with him and get somebody else that wants to be here. Because it comes in right after we just got our hearts broken by James Harden on the basketball side. So now then Deshaun comes out and says, yeah, I don't want to be here either. So it's been a very tough year for Houston fans. I give him that.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I honestly do, because like you said, James Harden with the Rockets, so many expectations. It didn't necessarily work out. That was a disaster. And then you look at this big-time disaster with the Texans, not only Watson not wanting to be there, and then the allegations. Basically, he has no value now. So you look back at it. If the Texans did trade him for 2 or 3 number one picks, you'd be in a better situation. But that's easy to say in hindsight, because hindsight, it's 2020. You're talking about trading a 24-year-old quarterback who, you know, passed for over 4,000 yards. With all that being said, how are the fans reacting to the J.J. Watt situation? Here's a player that's done so much for the community, has produced on the field, albeit not consistently able to stay out of that trainer's room. So how does the fan base feel about Watt's loss to the Arizona Cardinals?
I believe after Hurricane Harvey, that what J.J. Watt did for this city really solidified him to where majority of the city really wants him to succeed. And he's one of those guys that you would see him on every local like commercial. You'll see him everywhere. People just resonated with him. They loved him. You could feel that the love for the city he had is genuine. So he's really that guy that when he went to Arizona, people were happy. They're like, hey, go get your ring. Go get your ring. Hopefully you win because you deserve it. And that's how it kind of is with DeAndre now. You still have Houston fans that wear DeAndre Hopkins jerseys around the city. They're fans of him. And, you know, and that's the thing. So when you have those players that really resonate with the city, they'll support you no matter what. And I feel that's what's happening, you know, with no matter what happens with Deshaun Watson, where he goes, there's going to be his Houston fan base that follows him and is like, hey, I want to see what you can do because it didn't work out here, which sucks for us maybe, but I still want to see what you can do. And it's just when you get that fan base around you, you have to do something really bad to get them to not love you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about the future of this team not having a Bill O'Brien? You hire the wide receivers coach from Baltimore, a little bit up there in age. Of course, he was the reason why Watson didn't want to be here in the first place. You have a Nick Caserio who's had success with the New England Patriots. You draft a young quarterback out of Stanford. You have a Tyrod Taylor. What's the future of the Houston Texans, in your opinion? Could it be once again another tough year for Houston fans?
I do enjoy the Nick Caserio GM. I feel that Texans fans really need to be patient with him. He got what I would say a broke down car, and he's trying to piece it together now to make upgrades. I would say the David Culley head coaching signing did surprise many Houston Texans fans. A lot of people, like we said, wanted Eric Bieniemy out of Kansas City. They felt that he would be great for Deshaun to keep him. It didn't happen, so we're now here. I think the only possible positive this season would be that Jacksonville's defense is atrocious.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what gives Texans fans hope to maybe be third. Being realistic, we don't even know who our quarterback is this season. Most fans maybe think that we're going to compete at a high level, but I don't see the Texans being with 20 plus free agents being able to maybe beat Tennessee Titans 2 times and Indianapolis Colts 2 times. Like, that's very hard with those teams. But I mean, one thing, like I said, it's funny because the same way that Cowboys fans always say they're going to be champions is the same way that a lot of Texans fans are, ironically, is, oh, this is we're going to surprise people this year. And maybe we do. Maybe, we have a nice quarterback. It comes in. They just want to play football and get back. Because I did like the 1-year deals that we signed. It's basically a prove it deal. You prove it. Hey, you may move on to another team, or you can maybe get a longer deal here. But you have to prove it for us, and you have to prove it for yourself. So I feel they're in a good spot for where we were at and where we were taken to. It does feel like kind of, I don't want to say a rebuild for the team, but it's kind of like that lower plateau where it's almost rebuild, but not fully at the bottom. You still have some good pieces that maybe you can use, but the thing that hurts the team is the draft picks that Bill O'Brien was just handing out like if it was free candy on Halloween.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. We're on with Nick Alvarez here, having a little bit of sound issues there from the Houston affiliate of the Notoriety Sports Network. Open phone lines, if you got a question for him, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So how many wins are Houston fans telling you? How many wins are you expecting out of this Texans team this year?
You talk to many fans, I say they just want to win more games than we won last season. Last season was very hard because you did feel you had a team that was going to do something. And like when players like JJ Watt and Deshaun are just saying, they're tired of losing. I mean, it resonated with the fan base, of course. No team in the NFL likes to lose. No team wants to be that. But I feel like the city's been here before when we had the Lastros for the longest time. We were the laughingstock of every sportscast, of everything. And so we've been here before. We can resonate with it. We can understand that, it comes and goes with each team. I do feel that we're not going to – I could see us winning maybe one of the games versus Jacksonville. maybe if you scrape 2 because you have a surprise player like Mark Ingram or Phillip Lindsay take over a game, if that. But to stop Derrick Henry 2 times, I don't see it happening. For some reason, the Indianapolis Colts, T.Y. Hilton is like a Texans nightmare. If you have him against the Texans in fantasy football, anytime he is going to blow up. I don't care what day it is of the year. And the schedule that they're playing is just with the talent that they have and the schedule they're playing. I do feel that people want to be optimistic and say they'll maybe win 6-7 games. But until we know who our quarterback is, until we see who our second wide receiver is behind Cooks, there's a lot of questions. We have like 6 tight ends on the team. And so it's just, there's a lot of questions as a Texans fan that you're kind of like, okay, I want to see what happens. I mean, Lovie Smith, defensive coordinator, I love it. But there's still all these questions with the new coach that many people don't even know who he is, honestly, in the Texans fan base. So I want to say they're optimistic, but the truth is I feel that a lot of us are going in knowing, okay, we may be really bad this year, so let's prepare for it just in case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I love Lovie Smith as the defensive coordinator because I've seen him down here with the Buccaneer defense, and it was a complete disaster. I'm not sure if he has the talent. If he's going to run that cover 2, that Tampa 2 defense, he's going to have the horses. He's going to have the horses to run it. So I'm not sure if that's all going to work out with all the distractions. What was your thoughts on Davis Mills from Stanford being their pick at quarterback? Do you feel like he's going to see some starting time, or are they going to take their time to develop him, in your opinion?
We actually talked about this on Wednesday. I was surprised a bit to a point, only because you've been signing quarterbacks. But it makes sense also because you don't know, like I said, if Deshaun's going to ever play again. You're going to trade him for lesser picks, what his value is. So I think he does sit on, the sidelines for a year, learn kind of. And I feel that's why they're also getting some veteran quarterbacks for that quarterback room, teach him a little bit. And I mean, we've been here before where we've had a young quarterback like U of H's Case Keenum. He came out of nowhere, played for us. I mean, we've had a revolving door at quarterback ever since we lost Matt Schaub. And it was just like one after another. So I think when it comes to Texas fans, they give the quarterback the chance that they should get, but also we do understand when we see a game where like, yeah, this isn't the guy. But I feel the team's gonna really hold him out for this, like I said, on the side, and I think Tyrod Taylor is going to start because he kind of gives you like kind of what Deshaun would do, not on any level of athleticism and star talent, but I feel he's a okay enough quarterback to get the ball down there, to beat certain teams, like I said, like a Jacksonville defense. And I mean, maybe we're not dead last in the division, but from the looks of it now, I mean, I don't know what this team's going to do completely with all the players that they keep getting.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you in the lobby. I don't know what you need to do. Your sound is kind of going in and out, so maybe you can unplug it or something. Let me put you in the lobby really quick, and we'll bring you back on. But great stuff there from our Houston affiliate, Notoriety Sports Network. We'll get him back on once he got his sound in check. And if you got a question for him or yours truly, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. And again, Lovie Smith is a defensive coordinator. I guess on paper it looks okay. I'm just not sure. Is it David Culley going to turn that situation around? Who knows? There's a lot of questions, a lot of unanswered questions, if you will, with the Houston Texans. Let's see if he's got it here. Let's go back out to him. You got it? You're good?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it. Yeah, just keep coming in and out. I don't know why. But you have the young situation there. You talked about a Tyrod Taylor possibly being the starting quarterback. Davis Mills out of Stanford. What are some other bright spots for fans to look forward to with this Texan team going into 2021?
It is a dark and gloomy day. I feel the biggest one is we are done with the Bill O'Brien era. For many times we've had always Gary Kubiak, and different coaches that, the fan base has just really wanted to get out. And honestly, before the DeAndre Hopkins trade happened, Bill O'Brien was the guy that many fans were like, we're just done. We're done with him. And the bright spot is we actually have a general manager. When Bill O'Brien got taken over as head coach and GM, a lot of fans were very mad because not only do I have to deal with you calling the plays every Sunday, but now I have to deal with you drafting players that, we feel were not the best picks. So I think a lot of fans were happy to finally have a real GM in our eyes. But also the picks that he made this year we feel, a lot of us Texans fans that have been talking around, we actually do enjoy the picks. I'm not saying they're going to be superstars and, Pro Bowlers or anything, but I feel that they do fit needs that we did need on this season. And I do feel that they're going to benefit, whether it's on special teams, because we have a lot of holes and we needed a lot of different adding depth in certain areas. But I just feel that turning that new chapter in the franchise right now, and hopefully that David Culley is the coach that maybe shocks us that we didn't know we needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible it could happen. Again, who's your quarterback? A lot of pieces to fill. We got Nick Alvarez of the Houston affiliate Notoriety Sports Network here on the Sports Web, live on I Love St. Pete, and once again on NSN Built Different. Of course, the big news, adding Tony Casillas, the Tony Casillas Show, which will be on tomorrow with UFC legend Chuck Liddell. Getting back to that division overall, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Big time talk, Urban Meyer coming in as an NFL coach, transitioning from the college game. Of course, Florida, Ohio State, Utah, lots of success. Trevor Lawrence is the number one pick, and now the signing of a Tim Tebow. What's your thoughts on this situation? And do you feel like, unbiasedly, the Jaguars could turn this around in no time? How many years does it take, in your opinion?
I actually enjoyed the Tim Tebow signing. I wasn't shocked today when I woke up when I saw that his jerseys were the top sales. Right. His fan base is something else when it comes to the NFL. But I do feel that Trevor Lawrence, honestly, going at first, that put a lot of, especially Texans fans, on notice. Like, oh, okay, we're last now. If you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to get as far as you think you would get. And they have a legit quarterback now, a young quarterback. They have a college coach that it seems to be hungry to want to prove something in the NFL. And you got him offensive weapons. It's one of those things where let this team get a defense like they did a few years ago when they were dominating this division. And that team can actually, I feel, be scary. That could be a team that, because when they had what was the quarterback? Blaine? No, it's not.
Blaine Gabbert or Gardner Minshew?
Blaine Gabbert when they went to the playoffs. Yes, and everybody was saying if they had a better quarterback, they would have been dominant.
By the way, the most underrated player in the NFL, according to BA. How much I believe that.
I heard that earlier. I was laughing, but if they had a better quarterback, that team, I feel, would have run this division easily. And it's the division, the way the division seems is, especially once Andrew Luck got out, it kind of was a revolving door of like, okay, it's anybody's game now. Because, yes, we had Deshaun Watson, but then you have Henry in Tennessee, and then now you have Wentz over there and on the Colts. I just feel that Jacksonville has made those pieces, honestly, that will solidify them to be in that hunt for the AFC South, because they're making the right moves. I feel you took a chance on Tim Tebow, like I said, at tight end. That was a position that many people were in the NFL were saying he should have done in the first place. But with a mindset like Urban Meyer, I really want to watch this team and see what he can do with the team, see if he does good, see if he does bad. It's just one of those things where you want to keep an eye on during Sunday nights and be like, okay, what did he do today? Did he do anything special today? So I feel, honestly, for Jacksonville fans, I feel that the turnaround is just starting for him. You have, like I said, a quarterback that I feel was, I loved watching him in Clemson. It was fun to watch his games, and the future is bright if they keep it up this way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And a lot of people say, well, he kind of peaked. scouts and general managers, they kind of fall in love with the whole, potential. Potential is the most overly used word. A Trey Lance, who didn't play this season, only played one year or played one game this season, 17 touchdowns, no interceptions. San Francisco drafts him at number 3 over a player like a Justin Fields, who has an overall body of work. People say, well, Lawrence has definitely hit his ceiling. To me, the guy's won everywhere. I don't care if he's hit his ceiling. Is he going to work in that Urban Meyer offense? I would say he will. He'll go through his bumps, possibly like Joe Burrow did last year. But eventually, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars and Urban Meyer will turn that around. Speaking of turning it around, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in the Bay Area turned it around with their special season. What were your thoughts on Tom Brady this year and this overall Buccaneer team with winning the Super Bowl?
Tom Brady is the GOAT. I don't care what anybody says. He is the GOAT. And I actually enjoyed him going to Tampa Bay. A lot of people were mad. They're like, he's going to build a super team. I'm a huge Mike Evans fan. He's from here. We support our Texas boys like crazy. So he has a lot of fans here. So to see him win, a lot of us were like, okay, I can go. I'm okay with that. But the thing about Tampa Bay is, and I like it, is they did what I feel Green Bay should have done with Aaron Rodgers, built around your quarterback while you can. Give him the weapons that you can. Go and do it. And yes, I remember I was watching Rob Gronkowski on wrestling, and then a week later I'm signed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I was like, huh? I was like, oh, he's back. Okay, cool. Tom Brady's there. That's why. That makes perfect sense. And then Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, you get all these pieces. It just felt like it was Tampa Bay's game to lose, I felt.
Yeah.
This season. And I mean, I don't know what was going on in y'all's water this year, but y'all were going in everything from World Series to Stanley Cup to y'all were just dominating everything.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, that's what they call it down here. The Tampa Bay Lightning, of course, the Stanley Cup champions. You have the Tampa Bay Rays making it all the way to Game 6 in the World Series versus the LA Dodgers. Of course, they lose. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win Super Bowl 55, the world champions in their own stadium. First time it's happened in NFL history with Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. With all that being said, in your opinion, the way the Glazers, the way this team is being set up with re-signing all their free agents and what they did in the draft, in your opinion, are they the clear favorite to repeat as Super Bowl champions?
Like I said in the NFL live draft we did, the rich get richer. I feel this team, it's theirs to lose again. Unless bar injuries, this team is just, they have that, okay, we're going to go out and win again. It kind of reminds me of when New England you just knew they're going to be in the hunt every year. They're going to dominate this thing. And Tom Brady just looks hungry. He looks hungry. He has those guys now that know how to win. It kind of reminds me, I get a feel of like when LeBron James went to Miami and they finally got that first championship. And you were like, okay, next year is going to be even better because now they all know, oh, this is how it feels to win. This is what it takes to win. Okay, I want that again. And I feel like this is going to be one of those teams that, wins 2 in a row, 3 in a row because of just the way they're built. And the way that, Bruce Arians coaches, I feel also, it just all fits, I feel, for this team and for this franchise right now.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, I think the whole football world at this point, Nick, is looking forward to that October 3rd matchup. By the way, that's my birthday. Just saying, maybe that's a sign of things to come, if you will. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will go back to Foxborough and play the New England Patriots on Sunday Night Football. Do you think this lives up to all the hype?
I don't think any NFL fan could have ever said, yo, Tom Brady is going to leave Foxborough. So for you to be able to see this, him going to his old stomping ground, going against his old coach, this would remind me of like if I had to see Tim Duncan leave the San Antonio Spurs and go play Greg Popovich. Like I wouldn't even know what I would have done that happened in the NBA. So to watch this, I think a lot of Tampa Bay fans, especially you, are going to be hyped for this game. I know New England fans are going to be hyped to see him come back, but of course, they want Cam Newton to do his thing if he can do his thing over there. But I feel this is going to live up to it because nobody expected this. Nobody expected him to leave New England. Nobody expected him to go and win, especially a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay his first year.
Whoa. Now, whoa. You're on the show. Where sports broadcaster actually predicted last March that it was Super Bowl or bust, that the Bucs were going to win the Super Bowl in their own backyard. Now, look, national media can say that, but I'm telling you right now, I got the prediction out there. Tampa Bay is going to win the Super Bowl, and I'll put this out there right now just for you so you can mark it down. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to repeat this year. They have set themselves up for a repeat. Honestly, they've set themselves up. The Glazers have set themselves up with all the re-signings. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win Super Bowl 56 in LA. Mark it down, Nick.
All right, I'll write it down.
All right,
I'll be back for it. I do want to say I want to see a game of Tampa Bay versus the 49ers.
Okay.
I think that would be a very good game. I would put Tampa Bay over them, but I do think that would be a fun matchup for NFL fans.
What do you make of this Aaron Rodgers situation? Much has been made that Rodgers wants out, possibility of getting traded to the Denver Broncos. I still feel like he'll end up with the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden. John Gruden has a propensity, Leo word, of loving those veteran quarterbacks. Rodgers is the perfect fit. On top of it, the Raiders can trade a Derek Carr to the Packers, get picks. What do you think about that situation? Does Rodgers end up with the Raiders, the Broncos, or another team? Or is he the full-time host of Jeopardy and basically threaten the Packers that he's going to retire?
First off, I want to say he did very well on Jeopardy. I was surprised.
And just in case you don't know what we're talking about, Jeopardy, here you go. Okay, enough of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. As a fantasy sports fan, I would want him to do a Seattle, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers swap. I don't think that's happening unless we're playing Madden. I could see him going to Denver, but I agree with you. The Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, makes the most sense. You get a quarterback in Derek Carr that's not terrible. He can play, he can throw the ball, and he can win you that division probably because your division is hurting already. You got to go up against Kirk Cousins. You have to go up against who knows in Detroit. I mean, and then I just feel that that's the most liable trade for Green Bay to be like, you know what? You don't want to be here? Fine. We'll wash our hands with you. We'll get a quarterback that at least can play for now, do something with the team that we do have, and let's see what happens. Because the thing is with that one, ironically, as a Texans fan, I was kind of happy to hear Rodgers say it because it took a heat off from Deshaun Watson for at least a week.
Right.
But I feel he's probably going to be traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know when, but I feel as a team, you have to do it because you don't want to lose him to retirement. Kind of like it reminds me of when like Detroit lost Megatron just out of nowhere. Like they didn't know what to do after that. They're like, oh wow, we just lost our star player. And I feel if you can get pieces now, hey, let me get something for you. Let me get whatever I can for you. As long as it's not the DeAndre Hopkins trade, I think they'll be happy as Green Bay fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And look, if Rodgers does leave Green Bay, then it definitely puts the onus on the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears. The Lions, I don't think have a chance, although, having a Jared Goff and having a Dan Campbell who's trying to, bite kneecaps off and do all this crazy stuff, which, I don't understand where he's coming from at all. In fact, it came out they wanted to hire Matt Campbell. They hired the wrong Dan Campbell. Campbell even said, I wish I would have negotiated the contract because word was it was like 6 years, $84 million, something obscene like that. And Campbell said, basically, you know what? Me and my wife, we're going to stay at Iowa State over getting an NFL job with the Lions. That's how bad the Lions are. With that being said, you are a wrestling fan. You do a wrestling show. Go ahead and promote that here on the Notoriety Sports Network.
Yes, so we do the NSN Wrestling. It will be every Sunday before the pay-per-views go out for WWE. We talk about predictions. We talk about what's going on that month with wrestling. We touch a little bit on AEW also. I mean, there's been so much that happened with wrestling. Today was a sad day for me. One of my favorites, the Velveteen Dream, did get released from WWE, so that hurt a bit. But it's interesting, let me say the least, because we are not the type that are going to sit there and praise every single thing that the WWE does. No,
right?
Because there's a lot that I feel that they need to get back to, because everybody always says, "Oh, Monday Night Wars was the greatest." Of course, it was competition, I feel. Sure. But I feel now there's just, and I'll say it, Monday Night Raw is one of the hardest things to watch.
It's the worst. TV. It's the worst. It's like this right here. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, over and over again. I don't know what they're booking. I don't know who they're pushing. I don't know what the championship picture looks like. I think it's disappointing to give the belt back to Lashley. He's had a very tough, championship run. I get it. He's a star, but I'd rather have Drew McIntyre or somebody else. The announcing is not good. The storyline's not good. The character development is not good. I mean, is that, in your opinion, what Raw and wrestling overall, especially in the WWE right now, is missing?
Yes. And there's so many things on Raw, like even promos that are very hard to watch. You'll see guys cutting promos, and there's some good ones. Like, I'm a huge fan of Matt Riddle. Huge fan of it. When he joined Randy Orton, I was like, yo, okay, this makes sense. I like this. But then you get the Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman every single week of just a different type. It's like if I'm eating vanilla ice cream from 3 different brands. Like, it's the same thing that you're giving me. It's vanilla ice cream still, no matter how you tell me it isn't. And
give me some Rocky Road, okay?
Yes.
Give me something different here, Nick. And I feel the same way. I think SmackDown has become, the best show because it's on Fox, but it's like you've kind of neglected Raw. People still watch that on USA. NXT, I think, is good if they let Triple H make the decisions along with Shawn Michaels instead of Vince McMahon, who, by the way, basically just needs to retire. But going back to Velveteen Dream, a lot of expectations, but of course the accusations have, really bothered the WWE. And of course they did the right thing. A talented guy. Could you see him ending up in an AEW eventually and them overlooking it like they did with a Sammy Guevara, who had some, comments about, I believe it was Sasha Banks, and, they kind of, disciplined him, but still he's the future of that organization.
I think Jericho said it best in the podcast with Stone Cold. The way that I feel the way Jericho and the other veterans that have joined them is grooming a lot of giving that knowledge, I feel, to like Sammy Guevara and all these guys that in AEW that haven't been on cable, haven't been on TV. They don't know how it is. They're finally getting that knowledge they need. And I think AEW is that place where a lot of these guys that didn't know, the WWE didn't know how to use them, or maybe they needed that second chance, is a place that they can go. I could see them giving him a spot over there. One, because his promos are just up to par, and his wrestling is like, he's that guy that you want to see wrestle. You want to see him entertain. And I feel that's a good risk for them in that sense. And so, I mean, when they signed his name, Rusev over there.
Right. Miro.
Yeah, Miro, that was a good signing. And now look at him. He has the TNT belt. I just feel that AEW is willing to take those risks a little more because they know, okay, I don't care what Triple H wants to say, that the war with NXT for ratings, they were winning it. It was entertaining. You wanted to watch the Inner Circle on there. You wanted to see what happened. You would see guys like Cage come over, Pentagon. You'd see all these guys that you would see at different smaller organizations. You're like, oh, okay, all these guys are together now. I can finally watch Kenny Omega at my time. Right. I don't have to wake up early in the morning and watch him in New Japan. Like, it was making things interesting. Like, and I mean, like you said, you had guys. It was crazy how the schedules and the contracts worked with, Pac-Man and Kenny, the Young Bucks. Like, all of them just were like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, it really is. An AEW, of course, the big announcement for them this week, moving from TNT to TBS. Of course, I believe that's going to take place next year. What's your thoughts on that? Is that a good situation? Of course, there's another show. I believe it is AEW, excuse me. AEW is going to be moving to TBS. They have AEW Rampage, which is going to be a show that's going to be on TNT. Is this a great move by that organization and a Tony Khan?
I think it makes sense. It gives them the kind of like their own channel, because I was wondering what they were going to do, especially with basketball coming into play, because a lot of people watch basketball on TNT, and a lot of people want to stay and watch Shaq and Charles Barkley just have fun with Kenny and Ernie. So I feel that you don't want to compete with your own shows, but I feel TBS is that good thing. To me, a TBS could compete with a USA Network type of feel. It gives them that extra push where it's like, okay, TBS is your channel. You're going to take it over, because there are some things though AEW needs to clean up if they're going to get that. The ending with Inner Circle and the Pinnacle was terrible. But I feel that, they're in the right path. I remember when they first started, I remember like the first month, Jericho called out all the tag teams in front of everybody, because he's like, y'all need to take this seriously. And I feel they've all been learning that. I did read that they're going to try to introduce a 3-man tag like division. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see. I won't judge stuff in wrestling until I see it.
Well, at least they take it seriously. WWE doesn't take tag team wrestling seriously. The reason why you have Matt Riddle with a RKO, of course, Randy Orton. We're on with Nick Alvarez from Houston Notoriety Sports Network. Once again, go ahead and promote your show, and we'll talk more about wrestling here in a moment. Go ahead.
Yeah, NSN Houston. We talk Astros, Texans, Rockets, touch a little bit on some other teams, Dynamos, and whenever the news is breaking. We come on Wednesdays every day on NSN. Wednesdays 7:30 Central Time is 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Western Time. Come check out me, Caleb, Zach, enjoying ourselves, talking about all the interesting things that this Houston sports teams do for some reason, because there's always a story.
Yes. There's always definitely a story, especially in that market, of course, with the Rockets rebuilding with the James Harden trade. So maybe some room for optimism with the young players they have on that team. Of course, we talked about the Texans, and of course, the cheating Astros. Again, unbiasedly, do you feel like they cheated? Did they do something wrong? And should they have been penalized more by Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred?
The way the city is, you will see bumper stickers all over the city, T-shirts all over the city that say "Us against everybody." Hate us if you want to. The city, like I said, the city wrapped their hands around this team after Harvey, and so no matter what, a lot of fans have admitted, okay, they cheated. We're not sitting here and saying, hey, we did not cheat. There's proof. But there's also those fans that say, well, we did go to LA and win the last game there. Mind you, it took cheating wins to get there, but we did that. And it's just, there's many things when it comes to the fan bases of the other teams where it's like, you're going to bash our players. Cool. This will be their safe haven then for them to come here, and we will cheer them on. I think with the way the league fans have bashed the team, it brought our fan base even closer to this team, because like I said, it's us against everybody. If I wear a Houston Astros jersey anywhere else outside of Houston, I'm sure I will get heat anywhere I go.
Oh yeah.
Especially if I go to a Rangers game, which I plan to, but I will get heat there. And it's deservingly though. You last year was kind of hard because of COVID. So there wasn't fans there. But this year I felt, okay, this is going to be that year. You had guys bringing trash cans. You had inflatable trash cans. You had everything. And I feel, especially come playoffs, it's going to be even crazier. Hey,
did you say playoffs? Hold on a sec.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
I had to do it. That's why we got that sound effects. Anytime somebody says playoffs, we got to play it. Of course, when nobody calls, will be play. But we don't want to do that. So you really didn't answer the question. You were diplomatic about it, so I can appreciate that. With that being said, going back to the wrestling pay-per-view, come on, man. I get it. You're trying to promote a pay-per-view, but zombies as lumberjacks, what am I, 8? Come on.
That was terrible. I get it. You got money from the Netflix movie. I get it. You know, Batista's in it. Awesome. Amazing. But that was one of the worst things I've seen. I literally got up from the match. I'm a Damian Priest fan. I love him from NXT, but you did all that, and the only thing that came out of it was the Miz is now injured. That's how bad the match was. That
right, torn ACL, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the match made no sense to me. And they kept trying to sell it like the whole match. They're like, oh, you know, I don't know what's going on. But nobody in WWE fan base was like, oh, this is believable. Like, this makes sense to me. And like, I was hyped for a lumberjack match. That reminds me of old school 90s feel. Like, okay, we're going to get some, you know, heels. We're going to get some baby faces. It's going to be interesting. Anything can happen. No, you give me zombies, and then you give me lumberjacks the next day. I'm like, why? Why didn't you just do this in the first place? Like, and just call it a day. But Jericho, when he tweeted, he said this set us back like 40 years. Yeah, I agree, Jericho. That was terrible.
It's terrible. All right, I want to read some of these comments here, and then I'll get back to a great show. Says Roger Shoes, a big time wrestling fan, Bears fan. He's also a troll bag, so I will go ahead and do that for him. That's what he wants when he comes on the sports web. Troy Polamalu, Houston wants the Titans back. They're a real football team. Ouch. So Peso says I don't know what that is. Chris Cole says every time every team is trying to do what the Bucks did, but there's just one difference. The GOAT. Chris also says I used to love wrestling, but it got ridiculous the last 10 years. I agree. Or the best 10 years. Absolutely the Monday Night War. We'll talk about that in a moment. Can we talk NASCAR Sprint 500? Absolutely not. And here's what I think about that, because we're not doing that. And Boston Red Sox did the same thing. He's absolutely right. They did the same thing, but the Astros got caught twice doing it. Monday Night War, WCW, WWF at the time, Attitude Era. Who did you prefer? Who did you like? Go for it.
I was a stone cold Steve Austin fan.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You mean hell yeah? You mean that right there? Okay.
Exactly. When I would hear that glass break, I don't care where I was at in the house. When my dad was watching wrestling, I would run to the TV. But I watched both. I used to watch ECW also. You know, my mom would not allow me to ever watch it. My dad let me watch it. But I would watch. I was a huge Rob Van Dam, Sabu fan. Like I was like always in. I was that kid that when they put those commercials saying "Don't try this at home," I was the kid that was on the roof jumping off on like a mattress or something because I was like, I could do a swanton bomb. I'm like Jeff Hardy. I could do that. And so I was a big fan of WWF. Now I enjoyed. I was a huge Sting fan growing up. Like he was the reason why I was really into WCW, but I just resonated more with, especially The Rock. His promos were just untouchable. And then The Undertaker, like anytime The Undertaker came out, you know, it was that. But what sold me on WWF, it was the WrestleMania at the Astrodome. My dad and my uncle got me and my cousin tickets, and the match with the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, that ladder match, that sold me forever on like, okay, this is what I want to watch anytime it comes on here. So me and my cousin would go and mow lawns just to get money for those pay-per-views and then give it to like my cousins, and we'd all get together and watch them. So I was a WWF fan for sure, more than a WCW fan. But I mean, WCW had NWO at that time when they were really doing something, but
I had to. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. But the thing is, and I get this all the time with one of my co-hosts, Caleb, I am not a Goldberg fan.
No?
I'm not a Goldberg fan. I don't know what it was. I just was not a Goldberg fan. So when I see the WWE try to do like that remold of Goldberg, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I didn't want to see it back when I was younger. I don't want to see it now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And I didn't like the fact he beat Brock Lesnar and then he goes on to lose against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I get what they were trying to do. I also don't like the fact of Bill Oldberg, which they were calling him. I respect the guy, but he's, way past his prime, paying him over $1 million to go out to Saudi Arabia and nearly kill The Undertaker with that match. Terrible. Just keep the guys that can't wrestle anymore, like a Goldberg, who, look, he wasn't a great wrestler in the first place. It was all about the gimmick. Did you agree with the way they took the streak away with Scott Hall coming with the cattle prod and Nash winning? Did you like Nash going over on a Goldberg?
I liked it because I was a Kevin Nash fan. I was a Scott Hall fan. When he's going to be like, oh, yeah. Like, I remember as a kid, I used to have a toothpick in my mouth. Just because yeah. Like, I remember watching those. My dad was a huge wrestling fan, so I would always watch them. But I feel, especially when WCW got them and they started getting, different talent, especially when X-Pac went over there, it was just like, okay, this is now a legit war. And like the ratings proved, they were winning for a good amount and all that. But they were, like we said, they're their own demise at some point. But like I said, anybody that went up against Goldberg, I was happy if Goldberg lost, which, as we know, his streak lasted forever. Somehow it went from like 10 to like 100 in like a week. But I mean, I'm not a Goldberg fan. I never will. I'm never going to tell anybody, yeah, I rooted for him that one match. I never in my life have been like, yeah, I want Goldberg to win. Those words have never come out of my mouth ever.
All right, let me read this comment here. We'll get you out of here. Watching wrestling with my family was weird when the Divas came out having a bra and panties match. Of course, they don't do that these days because it is the PG era. Of course, women's wrestling has improved leaps and bounds. So, what do you think about women's wrestling right now, and not only the WWE, but AEW?
Women's wrestling, I have to give them props. Like I said, I grew up watching, like you said, bra and panty matches where my mom would be like, what are you watching? And I was like, I don't know at all, to really seeing, like, I would say, the Bella Twins coming in and kind of doing that sexiness, but still wrestling with like Paige, AJ, Lee and them. But then you get people like Charlotte, you get people like Sasha Banks. You start getting these women that can really do some amazing things. And so, like, in NXT, one of my favorites is Io Shirai. I am a huge fan of Io Shirai, the high flyer. And, I feel she's up there with like Ricochet, with AJ when it comes to high flying abilities. Now, AEW, they're getting some very good, I feel, women out of different organizations, and I feel they're coming in. I feel they're finding themselves finally now on TV. So, I mean, I still think that NXT has the best women's division, and they use them properly. Mm-hmm. But when you have a Charlotte Flair, when you have an Asuka, when you have a Bianca Belair, a Rhea Ripley now, there's just so many women that can do main event, and I'm okay with it when they main event, because I would rather see that than seeing some of the matches that, especially on Raw, that they be putting on. I'm just like, yeah, just give me Charlotte. At least I know she's gonna do something crazy and it will be enjoyable.
All right, well, give me Nick Alvarez on Wednesday night once again here on the Notoriety Sports Network, the Houston part. Go ahead and promote yourself here on the Sports Web.
Catch us every Wednesday, 7:30. Me, Caleb, Zach will be talking Houston Astros, Texans, Rockets, throwing in extra sports, maybe some XFL if they come back. But yeah, that being said,
yes, absolutely. The XFL, which is tried, and now they got Danny Garcia and of course The Rock. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, good stuff here. We smell what Nick Alvarez is cooking. It's great here on the Notoriety Sports Network. Thanks a lot for your time here, boss. All right.
Thank you for having me, man.
All right. Appreciate you. There you go. Nick Alvarez of the Houston area, a big family that I've joined and I'm excited about. Can you see the excitement? Can you hear the excitement? I'm always jacked up. But when you have different parts of the country talking about sports, giving different perspective in the Houston area, in the Philadelphia area, we got a woman here that works for ESPN who will get on, who does a Boston show. You can better believe I want to hear what she has to say about the Patriots and about Northeastern sports up there, especially working for the mothership. That's my goal. I love talking Tampa Bay sports. I'll talk it all night long. Hell, I'll talk to myself and people will say you're crazy. And they would be right. Because you're on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on the Notoriety Sports Network. And of course, I love St. Pete platform here on Facebook. Let me read these comments and we'll get to the breaking news for the Rays earlier on in the day. We'll talk about that. And of course, take your phone call, 727-255-0391 and 727-255-0391. We read that comment. I thought that was pretty funny, watching the Cubs-Cardinals game while listening to the best sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area. I love it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What we're doing? What are we doing here?
Well, we're moving on up.
We are moving on up, and we got to go to this Rays story here as the Tampa Bay Rays make a blockbuster 4-player trade with the Milwaukee Brewers trading shortstop Willy Adames, who, if you remember, Rays fans, was in that trade with David Price from the Detroit Tigers. Didn't necessarily work out too well, did it? Nope. 25 years old, 197 batting average, 5 homers, 15 RBIs, although a lot of people will say he's the heart and soul of that clubhouse because of his defense, because of his presence. He is now traded to the Milwaukee Brewers for pitchers J.P. Fierson and Drew Rasmussen. So bullpen guys. So people will say, Wander Franco. Oh, you must not be a Rays fan because they wait because they want to save money. That's what the Rays do, and it's smart. To play shortstop, picking him over, of course, Wander Franco, which everybody is looking forward to seeing, including yours truly. The kid is dynamic. Of course, they said the same thing about Adames, but he never lived up to that hype when it came to the Tampa Bay Rays. Welcome to Tampa, Julio, and welcome to Trolling Me. That's not going to happen. There's no reason to have a Julio Jones. You have a Mike Evans. 7 consecutive 1,000-yard receiving seasons, topping Randy Moss. Amazing. Can he do 8? Possible. Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, Jalen Darden, if I could say his name, Justin Watson. You heard, BA. It's going to be tough to get on the field, let alone special teams. You better be good on special teams if you want to play on Sunday. With all that talent, it's a good problem to have. So why have a Julio Jones? Who, by the way, the Falcons right now are in salary cap hell. Isn't it nice, Bucs fans, to sit back on a Friday night, watch the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on I Love St. Pete, part of the Notoriety Sports Network, and say to yourself, you don't have salary cap problems right now. Jason Light and the Glazers set the Bucs up for a repeat performance. Did they not? While you have the Falcons in the same division with a declining Matt Ryan, with Julio Jones possibly being traded. Yeah, they got Kyle Pitts. Yeah, they got Ridley. But their defense is terrible. Isn't it nice? I think it's nice. I think it is. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and fire those cans. Because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still world champions. Nothing has changed. Football season is only a couple months away, and we'll have you covered here on the Notoriety Sports Network on I Love St. Pete. Thanks to all the guests, Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, Jason Powers, and of course, Nick Alvarez of the Houston market for the Notoriety Sports Network. Once again, the breaking news for this network, adding the Tony Casillas show. You heard me right. That's a former defensive lineman for the Dallas Cowboys. And there's more announcements coming. Just keep it locked in here on the Sports Web on NSN for all those announcements. Let me go ahead and read another comment, and then we'll get you out of here for the night. Julio wants to play with a real quarterback. Who doesn't want to play with the greatness of Tom Brady. So once again, thanks to all the guests, thanks to all the comments and the calls, and continue to tune in to the evolution of Sports Talk Television early on this Saturday morning. We're going into the weekend, guys. Do 3 things for me. Like I said today on my teaser, I have become notorious for. If you don't know what that is, let me go ahead and introduce you to them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. See you on Monday night on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Have a great weekend.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Notoriety Sports Network. Breaking news, live shows, unprecedented content. Notoriety Sports Network, built